Well, I finally found time to catch up on House of the Dragon Season 3. Now, I was very kind to the opening episode, although it had a big flaw in it that is just going to continue no matter what they do. That being what they do with Rhaenyra. And it's just the same thing over and over again. She's a woman. She wants to be a man. She hates everybody because she isn't a man. This comes up all the time. So maybe that's why I kind of just forgot the show was on, but now I got to catch up on 3 episodes. So the next one, of course, is called Queen's Landing. Yes. I mean, look, she's a queen, so, or wants to be anyway. Or does she? No, she wants to be king, But anyway, so the aftermath of the previous one, and it's just the logic there and what's demanded of it. I mean, a lot of this presentation, I have to conclude it's not intentional, but it displays that Rhaenyra is just not fit to rule. There's a lot about it. I'm trying to weave around this without spoiling plots and whatnot and all that. So that's how I'm going to do it. Why bother? I don't know. It's most of it is shot well, although it gets pretty weak by the 4th episode here. Some of the dragon scenes, I'm like, ooh. They used to do it better than that. So that's pretty bad. It was all right in the first episode, but jeez Louise, the CGI really failed them in some scenes. But anyway, the performances are all pretty good. I don't really have a problem with any of the actors. And this is typical of shows and movies that I think fail or fall far from where they were supposed to be. It's the material they were written to do, and probably more. This is true here. So there's some scenes. It's like the posing of a show that's got somewhere to go, and of course, ultimately, it has nowhere to go because we saw Game of Thrones. But anyway, so the aftermath, and it's settling up on that, and the grief of Rhaenyra and what have you. Meanwhile, her plot that she hatched with Alicent comes into play in this episode, and it's absurd. I just don't believe for a minute that it would have gone this way, not that easily. Sure, there's divided loyalties and some people who have a long-standing respect for Daemon and understood what Rhaenyra's father, what his true wish was, and all that sort of thing, that she should sit on the throne. But good Lord, I mean, this it's sheer idiocy. And just because you can think of, well, the condition Rhaenyra's in at this point, maybe she would push her to do something so crazy. But then Damon's like, yeah, let's go do it. No, it just not like this. I mean, you needed far more conspirators and stuff like that for them to just walk in like that. And then just a handful oppose them. I don't think so. So now you got to shift the board, so the Lannisters once again are playing a significant role as the war continues and unfolds. So anyway, then the next thing, it is interesting where it details ruling and what leadership comes, and then just the day-to-day tasks and what's required and all of that. Without spoiling it, I mean, just the state of mind where Rhaenyra is, and then to be bothered I don't know. It just doesn't seem to work out all that great. It is true. There's a lot of tests, and sometimes when you look out through history, there's people who were great generals, and then they conquer and take over, but they have no idea how to govern, and things kind of fall apart and whatnot. And then somebody else has got to step up to help the conquering king actually govern. There's two different things. So there's a lot of problems left behind by the previous regime and that sort of thing. Which just goes to show that ultimately, I would argue the previous regime wasn't going to be able to maintain power in that regard. They could have utilized that more to the point of how the Queen's Landing episode could have worked. Rhaenyra triumphant, of course. I guess that's the joke of the title. And then, well, be careful what you wish for, that type of thing. That it's not so great to be on the throne and so on. I'm spoiling some elements here, but not entirely. Just saying how it happens, I'm like, I'm not really buying it. The other interesting things is the mysterious witch and what she's up to, and she pulls a stunt here, and not quite certain exactly where this goes. One can guess how things unfold, but that's interesting. Then you have the crazy dragon and the now crazy girl who's riding with the crazy dragon. This story is somewhat interesting. Probably, as it turns out, one of the more interesting narratives that are unfolding is what's to become of Aegon as he escaped with Larys and all of that. And of course, Aegon was he was an idiot. He was an idiot and spoiled brat and that sort of thing. Then his brother turns on him and leaves him scarred and lame and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, you would think there'd be more of a humbling experience there. And then, despite of everything that he's being put through, and he's really suffering bad, he still has that spoiled brat attitude in there, to where he just puts himself in one humiliating situation after another. And Larys is like, don't do that. Who's way smarter than Aegon, and there's some scenes where you almost feel bad for the poor spoiled brat bastard, But anyway, as that unfolds, it's kind of one of the interesting elements that I guess is one of the high points of it, despite your main characters here just not being well served by a plot and how they get them to one point to the next, because what the Queen's Landing episode really derails it to a large degree. Eventually, of course, you do get into basic Marxist preaching about the rich and the poor and all this kind of stuff, despite what obvious problems this would cause. While you've achieved a victory, but it's not over. And you want to make more enemies now, enemies who can afford to take you on if need be. And you're skating on thin ice. And sure, you could make some amount of examples, but it doesn't really work. But it's obviously shoehorned in there. And of course, Rhaenyra's girlfriend here is, oh God, I can't stand her. And in that case, the actress really isn't on par with their castmates here, and so there's that as well. But it just so yeah, I'm on Team Damon when it comes to those two. Even though he's a monster, but that's all it is. So when it's too much on the nose like that, well, you kicked me out of your fantasy show, which is always a mistake. So eventually you get to where Lannister is becoming more of the focal point here, for now until they move on. Because once again, I haven't read the book, so I don't really know where it's supposed to go. But that's where it appears to be as of the moment, and he's pulled a fast one on Rhaenyra. And it's just one of these things that of how bizarre elements are with marriages and families and their children and everything, and yet to put them in a position where they haven't seen their child in so long and that kind of thing. But so there's some displays there that they delve into that and it works out for this sinister plot, or glorious plot, however you see it, with the Lannisters here. But that's where they leave it. As for where does this go, and things are afoot to where you can see you're always seeing the cracks forming that Rhaenyra and Daemon is not really going to work out in the long run, and because of the circumstances of what happened, even though what happened, especially with the opening battle, the consequences there, some elements of it was just a terrible mistake, and this character did not mean for this to happen the way it did, and then the rest of it is, well, it's war, and the enemy got a chance to take a shot, and they did it, and you could hold the enemy accountable for that, but instead this weird lying and makeup story to cover up what really happened, and but it's one of those things because it's ultimately a soap opera. It's gonna backfire and blow up in his face and all that, and so that's how that goes. So yeah, Game of Thrones and all, it was always a soap opera. It's akin to Dallas and Falcon's Crest or Dynasty and stuff. It's just, you got dragons in it. And it's set in this alternate universe medieval fantasy. Westeros is basically an alternate universe of Great Britain. Yeah. So anyway, there's still some elements to it that's interesting. And gee, I wish Game of Thrones hadn't pooped the bed, of course. But even if it hadn't, this would have started off strong as another series for it. But the weaknesses have really piled up. And last season, halfway through, it just sort of collapsed. And in this one, too much repetitive stuff. I mean, especially with Rhaenyra, it's like, well, there's really nothing else left of this character. And then you're defeating the whole point you keep making about, boy, it's tougher for a woman, and then you display all the reasons why she shouldn't be in charge. If there's a woman who should be queen, there may be, but it's not her. And I imagine they'll change it around where it's fine later. And that's a bit sloppy. And of course, the second episode of how this is achieved, of how she gets the throne, I'm not buying that at all. It's just, well, we needed to get her there, and that kind of thing. So it's not turning out well. This spells. So it's one of these situations where, does the bad outweigh the good in here? Yes, there's some good here, but the bad is outweighing it because the bad is pretty big in some instances. So I'm pretty disappointed. Maybe episode 5 will turn everything around, but you still had some pretty big stumbles here. And they're unnecessary. It's unfortunate, but, well, there you are. So anyway, there you go. We're all caught up on House of the Dragon Season 3 for now.
Hollywood, really wish they were, they would. There's no debating, all that's left is the Nailsin Reagan. The flies will feast on the corpse of the beast. Only after the fill of the vulture, pop goes the culture. Pop, 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 pop goes the culture. Pop, pop goes the culture. Pop, 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 pop goes the culture.
Good morning, good evening, whatever the hell, wherever you are, that kind of thing. You get the deal. It's the start of the show. Yeah. Gee, I hope I'm being heard because I'm supposed to be. Let's see. I'll have to do the quick check. Just as always, I should just wait for the chat to say, hey, I can hear you. No, come on. That's not it. There. Yep, there it is. Cool. That's great. Now we got that out of the way. I'll get a couple of chats here. Alexandria says, hi. Hi, Alexandria. Those books are so thick you could beat someone to death with them. Yeah, I've heard tell. A. Thompson's, whose birthday? Well, who do you think? Oh, that reminds me. I got to thank YouTube again for the lovely birthday gift of monetization. Thank you, YouTube. That's very nice. Alexandria says hi to A. Thompson. Peanut Butter says, hey, boss. I guess he means me. Hi. Alexandria says, I can hear you. Says hi to Peanut Butter. Peanut Butter says hi back. Everybody's in their places with sunshiny faces. Meanwhile, I'm being hit by a storm. I didn't think it would be as bad as it is, but right when I set up to go, bam. So there you go. You know, that's how that works. So anyway, there's a backlog of stuff that I think, oh, well, let me get through it and all that goody gumdrop stuff. So, boy, this is going to be a boring one, won't it? Maybe. And then some of it, man, boy, I picked up a bunch of tabs. Wow. But, I mean, a couple of them are pretty much all one subject, so I can probably skip around and stuff. That ought to work. So there's Marvel and DC, of course. And then we're going to go into some horror movies. And, man, that's about it. Well, horror movies and TV shows. There are streaming shows, rather. There is a couple of those. Anyway, we'll get to it. And after that, I'll switch over to Photoshop to do yet another Kumiya Photoshop based on Wrath of Khan. Yeah. So anyway, there we go. So I'll get into the first story of the day, which is all about Avengers Doomsday. And how's that going? Well, I'm thinking that plot leak was 100% true. I mean, it stays consistent. There's been leaks about it for quite a while. And the more that dribbles out, I'm like, well, it's still fitting with what they originally said. And then the teasers kind of looked a lot like it. So probably is. And I mean, some of it's like, yeah, you can expect it, all that kind of stuff. But the X-Men murder Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. and then Doctor Doom kills Captain America's son, who's a child. I don't know. They say, don't worry, everybody comes back in the next movie. Yeah, but you still did it. And then, of course, everybody comes back. Well, it's kind of like, well, what's the stakes? Oh, well, I don't know. They'll kill off one of the other heroes like they did with Iron Man in the last one. I don't know. Anyway, let's plow through this. And then we'll get to the DC stuff, which actually has more interesting stuff going on because of the corporate shenanigans. Not the movies themselves. Not yet anyway. All right, here he is. Doom! Stay. So, the Avengers Doomsday trailer description leaks. One day you will forgive me. So, we're going to forgive them for the Doomsday movie? They already think that. The trailer's going to be bad. It says, look, it's the best I can do. But one day you'll forgive me. Maybe. Well, so it already has an update to the article. Avengers Doomsday tickets go on sale next week with the runtime revealed. And Adam Driver is said to be the villain of the MCU. Oh, well, that's another story. We'll get to that later. I don't think they would introduce him in Doomsday. If they're going to cast him, I think they're going to cast him as Magneto. It might be that. That's what I've heard. Anyway, but maybe Secret Wars, something like that. So anyway, warning, potential spoilers, which I've already spoiled stuff. So anyway, Marvel planned to unveil the first Avengers Doom trailer in Hall H on July 25th. The internet may have gotten there first. A beat-by-beat description of the trailer surfaced Sunday on Reddit leaks and rumors, translated from a Russian Telegram channel. Well, the same channel behind the earlier Gambit, Professor X, and Magneto image. And Scooper, My Time to Shine Hello, amplified it within the hour. The usual labels apply. It's unverified. It went through translation. And the poster notes it describes a rough cut of the trailer. So the finished version may differ. Well, that's always the case. That's been the case with Marvel for quite some time because there's always massive reshoots. And, of course, I haven't really heard about a lot of them this time around. But come on, it's the way they do things. Anyway, here's the notes of the plot. So it opens on Doom seated on his throne. Not that throne, in Latveria, then walking his castle walls past a massive portrait of his wife and son. Thor arrives with the Fantastic Four to meet the new Avengers, their ship touching down at the tower as the teams are introduced. So this differs a little from an earlier plot thing. We know the Fantastic Four are coming because the Thunderbolts ended, with them, their ship showing up. And but I thought that Doom was on board the ship with them. But apparently, no, it's Thor instead. So Steve Rogers reunites with a disbelieving Thor and settles it by calling the hammer to his hand. Steve tells Yelena that Natasha was family to him, which makes her family too. That's sweet, isn't it? Yeah. It's like Natasha's little sister, Yelena fights her own double before Mystique's shapeshift is revealed. Yeah, I've heard of that one too. That's been bandied about. So more than likely, it's true. The X-Men turn up inside the Baxter building. Reed Richards on comms with Doom demands that he respond. See, don't you hate it? He's being ghosted by Dr. Doom. And Loki appears in his TVA suit inside Steve's house from the December teaser. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards that as well. That's the deal. It's a bit of a retcon, a rather massive one when you think about it. But nevertheless, that happened. So the centerpiece, Thor hurls Stormbreaker at Doom, who stops it with a wave of his hand. It closes on Doom commanding the Sentinels. And one line of dialogue, one day you will forgive me. Yeah, well, what day? I mean, when you're constantly revamping and rebooting and collapsing universes and rewriting time and all that, do the days matter? But anyway, these are the highlights that will show up in the trailer, supposedly. And and it hits on things that have been within the spoilers, quote unquote, such that they were leaked, and they're largely consistent. So here's what separates this from the average Reddit fan fiction. Nearly every shot lines up with something that leaked separately. Oh, yeah, just like I just said. The portrait of Doom's wife and son tracks with Doom's leaked motivation, which has been pointing at his family from the start. Doom commanding Sentinels as the closer matches the leaked 72-second clip of Doom and the Sentinels tearing into the X-Men. And I saw it, it's pixelated and stuff, but it looks rather legit. So anyway, Loki in the TVA suit inside Steve's house extends a shot straight out of the December teaser and squares with reports that Loki's role is anything but small. I always thought that. I mean, they were like after the second season ended and Tom Hiddleston, or Hiddleston, I always get it wrong. Loki. I was saying, yeah, it's going to be tough to let that role go, but I guess that wraps it up. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. Because of the way the plot goes about this multiverse crap that they were doing and the way it ends for Loki, he almost has to be there for this thing to work, even though they've switched out the villains. So sure enough, he's in it. So, and Thor refusing to believe Steve is really standing in front of him is exactly what the validated plot outline sets up, with Rogers having spent years living in another universe. Yeah, it still goes to the problem with that, though. See, at the end of Endgame, you see an old man Steve Rogers, because it's revealed that when he had the chance to take the stones back, so he had to go back in time and return them, and then he never comes back. And they realize, oh no, what happened? And what it is he went back in time to live out his life with Peggy. Now, Peggy had already died in was it Avengers or Captain America? The second one. No, I think it was Avengers. Anyway, she succumbs to Alzheimer's, and it's mentioned she got married, but it's left a mystery as to who the husband was. Well, now we know it was him. He went back in time and lived out a life with her. And so he's still around. So he knew what was going to happen. He knew about Ultron and Thanos and, the snap and all that stuff. So he's just waiting for them to do what they were going to do. And then when they show up and having defeated Thanos yet again, defeated him this time, and they show up, and then Bucky and Sam find him, and he hands off the shield and all that. All right, fine, whatever. That's a very simple thing. That's what happened, and it plays out. He lives out his old man life and dies of old age or whatever. They don't mention him after that. They never say that he did die or any of that stuff. So I don't know how they're going to clean that up, but now they're doing it where he went to another universe. So I'm guessing they said, well, Loki changed things, even though this was never depicted in the show because they hadn't thought of it yet. You see, it's a big mess problem for them. And they want to center this around Steve Rogers and make him, more of the adversary of Dr. Doom rather than the Fantastic Four, because, well, they haven't developed the Fantastic Four yet. Yeah, that's a problem. It's also a problem they haven't developed Dr. Doom either. So even the caveat fits. The description of a rough version of the trailer lands one day after reports that the Russos are still struggling to find the movie in the edit. So they're still screwing with it. Of course, the trailer only exists as a rough cut. Everything does. If someone faked this, they faked it after doing their homework. Every beat maps to a separate leak that was already public 2 weeks before Hall H. That's the difference between noise and signal. And this reads like signal. As for the final line, it's the plot leaks. It's the plot leaks ending 6 words. Doom destroys the multiverse, resurrects everyone with their memories wiped, and takes his throne over Battleworld. A villain asking forgiveness in advance is a villain who already knows how the story ends. Well, that's easy to get someone's forgiveness when they don't remember anything. What's to forgive? Anyway, Marvel locked Hall H for Saturday, July 25th, precisely to debut this trailer. The plot leaked in February and got validated this month. Well, probably. I'm leaning towards it is, but not entirely. But a lot of stuff fits with it. Anyway, the editing room reports leaked this week. Now the trailer's shot list is out before the trailer. Marvel's mystery box has a hole in the bottom. Well, that's usually where you keep that. And everything keeps falling out of it 2 weeks early. So anyway, there you go. They'll have the trailer. But just the poster alone kind of. And then there's Steve. I mean, this is the official. This is Andy Parks, the guy they let go, who basically designed all the outfits all those years. But part of the purge of Marvel, they let him go. So the troubles wasn't his fault. But nevertheless, anyway, this is the artwork he did for the movie. And there's Steve in the black T-shirt and all that, and long hair and all that. And that's what's shown up in these supposed leaked footage from the film. And so it's like, huh. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So that's the deal for the trailer. I guess I'll go into this. Yeah, the poster, Andy Park did it. He was laid off. It's unfortunate because they do owe a lot to him for the look of those Marvel films. And so that's the official image. I don't know if it'll be the actual movie poster or that kind of thing, but usually there's, more than one and all that. So it was a purge, and they did quite the shakeup there. And, we'll see. And not the least of which is Marvel Comics itself. They shook that up quite a bit. And so, there's trouble ahead, and they got to shrink it down and make it lean and mean. So here's another thing that the Doomsday art confirms leaked footage. So, yeah, same thing I was saying earlier, and you can look at it. And especially what Steve Rogers looks like, and Thor himself was also described with short hair and all that, even though he had long hair in his last movie and all that. And of course, the teasers were the main things because some of this stuff preceded that, and you saw the X-Men and Cyclops blasting the sky and all that sort of stuff, and a lot of it you could guess at. And then there's Loki, who at the end of his series became the god of time, something like that. Anyway, so I imagine the article goes through the same conclusions I've made, but why go through all that? You can check it out. But that's the thing. I mean, you see what it is, and I think it confirms quite a bit. So some elements might not be true, but quite a bit of it is. So was it all worth it? Is this working out? And will it be this smash hit that's going to re-energize the MCU and get the audience back into those seats? Well, Avengers Doomsday. No, I turned off the thing. Oh, God, that's embarrassing. Why do you do this? Okay, sorry about that. Avengers Doomsday, reportedly a mess. Ew, in the edit. Russo struggling to find the movie. Okay. So, he's just doing the update with all this stuff. So anyway, Marvel is spending north of $300 million. It's probably closer or maybe over 400 million. And I mean, the thinking at this point is they desperately need Marvel to come back. And so it's a Hail Mary pass, and they're hoping there's enough excitement and stuff out of this movie that following movies will be very profitable and hopefully one day get back to being billion-dollar movies. Eh. Anyway, so 300 million on the biggest crossover it has ever attempted, and the people cutting it together reportedly can't find the movie. Well, usually a script, you know, a script will take care of that. Sure, there's flexibility and you can change it as you go, and sometimes you got to do that. You know, all kinds of circumstances can unforeseen can derail this or that. But you really need one of those. Did you do that? That's the picture painted this week by John Campia and World of Reels Jordan Rumi, whose sources independently describe an editing room in trouble. Campia reported on his show this week that post-production on Avengers Doomsday is not going well, that editors are struggling to assemble the film, and that the Russo brothers aren't finding the movie in the edit. Well, keep your mouth shut, John. You haven't seen the movie yet. Per Campia's source, everything felt great on set. The problems only surfaced once the footage hit the editing bay. Well, it just means everyone was having a good time on set and laughing and joking, and they like each other and all that kind of stuff. But does that make a great movie? World of Reels Rumi followed up with his own source, the same one who told him Marvel scrapped the Blade movie, which I guess is probably for the best, because I think they were going to do it where he gets replaced by his daughter and all that. Yeah, they couldn't figure out how to make a movie about a guy who fights vampires. Anyway, Rumi called, or the source called Doomsday a mess months ago, and said some at Marvel were privately questioning the December 18th date. Yeah, they might have pushed it into 2027. Yeah. Well, anyway, that source reached back out this week. The friction in the editing room is real, but the date doubts are gone. Marvel is holding December 18. Dune or no Dune? I think there's going to be a Dune. See, Cyclops keeps burning the script all the time. He doesn't like it. They're like, damn it. Anyway, none of this should surprise anyone who's paying attention during production, who was paying attention during production. And it's typical of Marvel. Yeah. I mean, they did have a plan, but they had to scrap it. Yeah. So it wasn't a great plan anyway. But anyway, Rebecca Romaine admitted mid-shoot that the script wasn't finished. They keep doing this. This is like Captain America, Brave New World, you know. The rewrites reportedly ran into the final week of filming, and the cast wasn't fully locked while cameras rolled. The count now sits at 60-plus rolls and climbing. As of Friday, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is rumored to join them. Yes, so Alfred Molina will be Dr. Octopus, apparently fighting side by side Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man against the X-Men. Even though he was killed off in Spider-Man's movie. Yeah, I know he showed up in the crossover and No Way Home, but that was from a time before he died at the end of the movie. Unless he survived, you know, he's floating away in the water and he's like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I don't have to die. And he managed to swim away, I guess. Anyway, Kevin Feige's word for all of this is plussing. Daily rewrites as a feature of the Marvel process, not a bug. Call it what it is. Spin. Rewriting a $300 million tentpole every day while shooting. It isn't a creative philosophy. It's a rescue operation with good PR. Well, it's not good PR anymore. I mean, does anyone buy this anymore? Anyway, and the directors running it are the Russo brothers, who haven't made a well-received movie since Endgame, as Cherry, The Gray Man, and The Electric State are the resume between then and now. The edit was always where the bill for all of it would come due. Now it has. Marvel is banking heavily on Robert Downey Jr.'s turn as Dr. Doom. Yeah, but he's famous for being Iron Man, so, Anyway, to anchor the massive crossover, which makes the reported struggle to assemble the film and the edit all the more notable. Yes. Anyway, here's the crunch. Marvel has Hall H locked for Saturday, July 25th, where the first Doomsday trailer is expected, meaning the studio is cutting its biggest marketing weapon out of an edit. Its own directors reportedly have it cracked. It's doing that with no IMAX screens in December. Dune Part 3 grabbed those months ago. Yeah, great going, Marvel. And with the full plot outline already online, validated by Campia himself at the start of the month, which is worth pausing on. Campia is now 2 for 2 on Doomsday Intel in July. He vouched for the plot leak on July 1st, and the teaser wave beats backed him up. His editing room report deserves the same weight. Marvel, well, plus he got a second source, so, you know. Anyway, Marvel can't sell mystery. The leak killed that. After this week, it can't sell trust the process either. All that's left to sell is the footage, and the first public cut of it arrives in 2 weeks. The date will hold. Whether the movie is ready on that date is the question Marvel just made a lot harder to dodge. So, Jay, is it all going to work out? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. Well, I mean, on their best bet, and this was always the case, is that the morbid curiosity will attract enough to make bank on it. Considering what they've put into it, it's unlikely that they can make the money back. But ultimately, they need to save Marvel. But if in the process you go to this thing and you're so pissed off about what it does, then will they show up for Secret Wars? Is they, guys, Secret Wars, guys? And is that one going to be a nearly $400 million movie? But they need, a Marvel, and they're gonna try to save Star Wars. So that's even harder in a lot of ways. But the main thing is the gimmick of, hey, they're all together. Well, you've done that quite a bit, and the best of that was, of course, Spider-Man. So, yeah, I'm not so certain about all this. So it's unfortunate, but if only someone had mentioned, "Hey, these movies are crap. You can't keep making them like that." And now here you are, desperate, and of course there were unforced errors, things. Well, I mean, unforced errors. I mean, things they couldn't predicted. Jonathan Majors having a little scandal and all that. Still, they could have recast him. So they just didn't. Alexander says, I'm done with Marvel. Well, there you go. A. Thompson, how old are you, Doug? 56. 56 years old. Peanut Butter says, I ran a train on some snow bunnies with Ricardo in 88. Khan was always generous like that. Wow. Who knew? That's something. Peanut Butter, wait, what happened to Kang Dynasty? I've been waiting for that since Ant-Man 3. Yeah, well, the scandal happened. Plus, Ant-Man 3 happened too. It didn't do very well, and they began to worry. What do we do? And then Jonathan Majors' girlfriend said he was mean and nasty and broke her finger. They got in a fight over his phone because she found that he was getting messages from another woman and all this type of crap. And then to console her feelings, she went on a drinking and drug binge and collapsed back at his place, puking on the floor. But anyway, he got arrested and his career was destroyed and all that stuff. Do I think he got a raw deal? It kind of looks like he did. But nevertheless, a lot of people on the side and stuff said he was an asshole and full of himself. He probably was, but It's not really a crime. But nevertheless, even with that, seems like considering Kang was always about, the different versions of himself because he travels through time all the time. And so there's different variants of him. They could have just recast and said, hey, he looks a little different. I mean, in some instances, he was a lizard. I mean, and yeah, they did that CGI where it's all Jonathan Majors made up and everything. So yeah, but it's like, shit happens, But Doctor Doom is the better villain overall, but you didn't develop him. You were developing Kang. So anyway, Alexandria says, I'd ghost Reed Richards too. Well, I guess so. So anyway, that's what happened to Kang Dynasty. So anyway, Alexander says, I'm going to have to go. Bye, everyone. Well, good. I guess probably not hearing me say it. Sorry, but thanks for being here while you could, Alexandria. Peanut butter. I can't do that Pedro fella as Richards. Shit casting. Yeah, I know. He got a lot of that. And every time you turn around, Pedro's there. But that whole movie was miscast. I mean, maybe the Galactus guy, but for what it was rather bland, But yeah, terrible casting all around. None of them were the characters. So, and of course, that could be in the writing. So anyway, Spurg Snake, happy birthday, brother. Thank you, Spurg Snake. Thank you very much. A. Thompson, I'm guessing 46. You're 10 years off. Serenity now. You guys want to smoke crack? Not particularly now. But, hey, it's none of my business. A. Thompson says, happy birthday, Doug. Why, thank you, A. Thompson. Serenity, no. You know who I would cast to play Dutch music legend Taco? Bill Telly. All right, then. Okay. Peanut butter. Was Kang's girlfriend a snow bunny? You have to be careful like Ricardo was. I don't think they did introduce her in the Loki show. And well, no, she wasn't a snow bunny. But I suppose another variant of her she could be. It could have been that. I don't know. But anyway, that's it for Marvel. Well, not yet. There's rumors for the future. Maybe they'll get one. Even after all that, they're still in better shape than poor, stupid DC. It just can't catch a break. Even though in the comics, they're finally beating Marvel. But alas, it was too late, Glenn Powell as Marvel's Nova just went from wishful thinking to the front runner. I didn't even know he was in the running at all, but okay, they want to do a Nova movie and looks like he might be the star. So now that Nova is officially a Michael Waldron movie, he may also direct. There's one name that makes more sense than anyone else for Richard Rider. Glenn Powell. This isn't a reach. It's the most connected set of dots in the entire MCU right now. Back in October, before any of this was official, Waldron went on record saying he wanted to write Nova and that he wanted Glenn Powell to play Richard Rider. At the time, it was a fun what if from a writer who didn't yet have the job. Deadline now reports Waldron has the job. Oh my God. He's pinning the script and eyeing the director's chair. Just eyeing it. Is he actually going to sit in it? The wish list, quote, isn't a quote anymore. It's the stated preference of the guy who may be running the movie. Waldron and Powell co-created Chad Powers for Hulu. And per Deadline, Waldron just wrapped production on its second season, which stars Powell. Yeah, it's the same guy. Yeah. So we're not talking about a writer floating a dream cast he's never met. We're talking about a filmmaker who just spent 2 seasons building a series around this specific actor, publicly saying he wants that same actor for his Marvel movie. Well, all right then. Creatives cast the people they trust and want to work with again. Yeah, I guess they got along. Otherwise, yeah, he'd probably not hire him, you know? So anyway, Waldron has told you exactly who that is. This guy. Yeah. Anyway, here's the part that matters for a theatrical Nova. The reason the DP version got shelved was budget. Moving it to the big screen means it now has to sell tickets. And Powell is one of the few genuine draws Marvel could plausibly land. Top Gun Maverick put him on the map. Anyone But You turned a modest rom-com budget into a $200 million plus global sleeper on star power alone. No franchise, no pre-sold IP, just Powell and Sydney Sweeney. Oh, yeah. Is she going to play the girlfriend in Nova? Twisters cleared $370 million worldwide with him fronting it. Hitman landed with critics. Well, all right. Ew. Over the last 4 years, Powell has done the one thing Marvel needs most right now. Put people in seats. For a studio trying to rebuild theatrical muscle, that's the whole ball game. If you say so. I mean, all right, he's had some successful films, so all right, you know. Anyway, the other names attached to Nova over the years don't have anything close to this. IMDb Pro still lists Henry Cavill as rumored. Really? I thought he was rumored to play something. Anyway, a fan-driven listing worth a grain of salt. And Timothy Chalamet was once rumored for a Marvel role, thought to be Nova years ago. Neither has a working relationship with the guy writing the script. Powell does. Nothing here is a done deal. And the sourcing matters. Confirmed. Movie exists and Waldron is writing with an eye at directing per deadline. 5 days after the WGA listing I reported tipped everyone off. Well, good for you. On record, Waldron saying he wants Powell back in October. Everything past that, an actual offer, a deal, Powell's interest, has not been reported. Deadline stresses the film is still in early development, which means it may never happen. But early development is exactly when a writer-director locks the lead he's been publicly naming since October. Richard Ryder debuted in 1976, The Man Called Nova. At least he was called that, not, from Marv Wolfman and John Buscema, a Long Island teenager who inherits the powers of the intergalactic Nova Corps. So anyway, with Avengers Doomsday hitting theaters December 18th and Marvel's Hall H panel less than 2 weeks out, don't be shocked if Nova, and maybe a name attached to it, comes up. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, the guy said he'd like to see him in the role, and he's got the job to write the script and wants to direct. But what if he doesn't get to direct? And he just hands in the script, and they're like, yeah, thanks. They pay him, and then they get somebody else to rewrite it, and he's pretty much out of the loop, and then the movie never happens. It's like what happened with Blade, So don't get your hopes up too high, but I suppose it's possible. And they want it. But if this guy's, making hits here and there, and he's an actor to look out for, he's probably priced himself out of it, because Marvel's not where it once was. But then again, you can gamble on that they can have a new little Nova franchise that people flock to see, I suppose. But, things have gone, so be it. They've gone, so be it. And I don't know. I'm always dubious about these things because of the be it. But maybe the good can happen once again. One can hope. But again, hope is not a strategy. I've heard that said a time or two. Yeah. So there's probably some truth to it. I mean, why not? Not that one. So let's talk about another rumored casting that may or may not occur. What do you want me to do? Say it's true or it's untrue? Get up there, you. Adam Driver rumored as the MCU X-Men reboot villain, Magneto. Well, at least it's not Eddie Murphy like they were talking about a while ago, And I guess they could dye his hair white, under the helmet. Anyway, the X-Men reboot rumor cycle just produced its splashiest name yet. Well, splashy? Anyway, Scooper, My Time to Shine Hello, posted that Marvel Studios has landed its first casting for the MCU X-Men reboot, claiming Adam Driver has been cast as the film's villain. No character was named. Well, I was thinking the first character they cast was Sadie Sink as Jean Grey. But I guess we'll see. Anyway, we go over all the latest X-Men rumors below. Well, I would expect so. You got to scroll down to read the article. Update. The character is said to be Magneto, backed up by Apocalyptic Horseman on X. Well, there you go. That probably settles it, So that's Adam, and that's the X-Men. Anyway, all right. Oh, geez. Yeah. There was talk that he might have been Reed Richards. He wouldn't have been Pedro, but he didn't get that one. Anyway, if the pairing of Adam Driver and a Marvel tentpole sounds familiar, that's because it is. During the long casting churn for the Fantastic Four First Steps, Driver was one of the biggest names repeatedly linked to Reed Richards, right alongside the Margot Robbie and Jodie Comer, Sue Storm Shadow that ran. Okay. Anyway, worth a mention is that Driver was also reportedly up to play Doctor Doom in the MCU Fantastic Four reboot, a role now being played by Robert Downey Jr. So I guess they had a script where Doctor Doom did appear. And he does at the end credit thing, but yeah. It would have been some development of the character, Oh, well, anyway, what about The Rock? Well, the same account has already tied Dwayne Johnson to Apocalypse and Vagnamura to Mr. Sinister. So they're going to clutter the film up with multiple villains, perhaps. I don't know. Or maybe Apocalypse will just be sort of introduced and they'll tease him like Thanos for later. Anyway, now add Adam Driver as an unnamed quote-unquote villain. Well, you got Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister, so who else? It's got to be Magneto. Anyway, if all three land, that doesn't necessarily mean they will all appear in one X-Men film together. They could easily be the villain of solo X-Men films. So like a Wolverine movie, that kind of, maybe, I don't know. It could be possible that Feige is trying to repeat what worked for the MCU. Solo X-Men films leading to an Avengers-style X-Men event. Or, on the flip side, go the Deadpool Wolverine route and make an X-Men event film right out of the gate with all the characters. At the same time, rumors have said Wolverine won't be a part of the MCU's X-Men, just like in the comics. So the big build-up approach could be happening. I guess, but the X-Men began with the X-Men. So, that's a nice. On looks alone, the casting would be fantastic. But I don't know. Could she play Emma Frost? Maybe. Not that I would notice much because, that would be awesome. Anyway, the rumor mill is stuffed. With names, not unknowns, including Millie Bobby Brown, reportedly in final talks. Sabrina Carpenter floated for Emma Frost or Dazzler. Well, she does sing, right? Doesn't she sing? So more Dazzler. Anya Taylor-Joy for Magic. Well, I'm thinking she's going to have a cameo in Secret Wars, and then that'll be it. She does look like Magic, but already aging out of the role, Sadie Sink, long attached to Jean Grey. I think it's true. Plus, Sydney Sweeney and Cynthia Erivo. No, Sydney Sweeney. You put her in those, Anyway, Kevin Feige has described the reboot as youth-oriented, and one of the writers framed the project as X-Men for everybody. But youth-oriented has never meant no recognizable actors. And Marvel just built Avengers Doomsday around Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. Yeah. Oh, wow. They're going to go back to what Domino is supposed to look like. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, stripping out all the noise surrounding the rumors, and the confirmed picture looks like this. Jake Schreier is directing the script. The script is in progress, directing the script. Schreier is taking meetings. Well, I would expect so. Notably, Obsession star Indy Navarrete confirmed she met with Schreier, but her role, and if she got the part, is unknown. Yeah, I don't know who. I don't know if they would put Domino in there yet. If she's not Jean Grey, if Sydney Sweeney's going to be Emma Frost, then I don't know. Right off the bat, you say, well, she could be Kitty Pryde, but she's already too old for that role. I don't know. They'll think of something. Anyway, notably, Obsession star Indy Navarrete confirmed. Oh, she may have. This lands 2 weeks before San Diego Comic-Con, where Marvel takes Hall H on July 25th. That's right. So it'll be Doomsday will be the main event, but Marvel has never been shy about teasing what's next. And an X-Men update is exactly the kind of thing that stage exists for. If there were a real announceable X-Men villain casting, that's where you'd expect it. File Adam Driver alongside every other unfair name in our running. Okay, yeah. So, it is possible, especially since I think they're big pooish. Following Secret Wars will be their new X-Men, some of which I suspect they will be introducing in Secret Wars. Now, leaning with that Sadie Sink is indeed Jean Grey, means her introduction will be in the Spider-Man movie. And then you go through Doomsday and primarily Secret Wars. I think you would get more of these characters introduced before their final movie takes over, after they've reset MCU and all that stuff. So so there you go. Probably the plan. But then again, I don't know. I mean, if they're just going to show up and have the guy that's writing the script and say, yeah, and have an X-Men logo and think that's a thing to bother time with. So if they got Adam Driver and he actually shows up to say, yeah, I'm Magneto, then okay. But I don't know. They might want to keep a lid on it. They're not revealing who Sadie Sink is playing in the Spider-Man movie, but it's almost impossible not to think that it's, I mean, at this point, it's going to be quite the letdown if she's not Jean Grey. Plus, there are rumors that she's involved in the Secret Wars movie. Now, why would she be involved in that if she's just this one-off character for a Spider-Man movie? So, odds are, you're going to get a lot of X-Men news because that's where they're going. All right. Oh, geez. Oh, I read that one. Peanut butter. I mean, Majors. What was that? King's Girlfriend and Snow Buddy used to be careful like Ricardo was. Also, Majors was careful. Well, he wasn't careful enough. So, Peanut Butter, Richard Linklater likes the Glenn guy too. Yeah, okay. So if they can pay him, because his price is going up with successful films like that and demand for him. So, but Anyway, peanut butter Spurg would have made a good blade. Really? All right. Spurg says, LOL, peanut butter. Spurg seems unconvinced. Peanut butter, throw some sunglasses on you, and we got it, Spurg. Peanut butter. Oh, already said that. Spurg Snake, I need a good pair of Oakleys. All right. Well, there's GoFundMe's in it. Peanut butter, shame the mall versus BB Suff. Messed your appearance up, buddy. I did enjoy it when you put your foot down, though, Spurg. Fucking up my time with my pineapple friend, and I don't wake up this early. All right, sounds serious. Peanut butter, that was gangster shit. Oh, my God. Peanut butter, Anya Joy or Sweeney, Doug? Sweeney is something else. Anya's got a really fascinating look to her. She's a good actress. But man, Sweeney, yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Sweeney wins, but something about Anya, weird face. I know, that's the thing. It's I can't just say, oh, Sweeney all the way, but it's Sweeney's gonna win. Yeah. That's sad how that works out, But anyway, but yeah, that's how that goes. Anyway, peanut butter. I served with Private Driver in Iraq. Fucked me up seeing him on HBO three years later. He's a good man, though. Really? He was over there with him. I knew he had served, Yeah, I guess that is weird. Spurg Snake, LOL, a bit of crosstalk. Sorry, no. Yeah, it happens. Spurg Snake, thanks, peanut butter. There you go. We're all caught up. So anyway, Adam Driver may be Magneto. Yeah. I mean, hopefully they won't screw him over as badly as Star Wars did. So maybe he'll make a good Magneto. He's got big shoes to fill, or boots or whatever. It was Ian McKellen, and then what's his name? Who played the younger version? Why am I blanking on his name? Yeah, that's embarrassing. But he was a good Magneto. So, So what's Marvel going to do? Well, or maybe more accurately, Disney. Well, Marvel and Star Wars may be worth more outside DP, Wall Street says. Oh, so forget about these crappy shows and get back into those theaters. Disney built its streaming empire around Marvel and Star Wars. Now Wall Street is arguing those franchises may be worth more outside DP. Wells Fargo analyst Steve Cahill, I guess, says Disney could raise its stock price by 40% by abandoning the streaming wars and returning to its old biz model of producing versus distributing. Wow. Disney stock rose 1.75%. That's less than 40 in the Monday early trading as the note circulated. For Marvel, so he made the note about that, and they're like, yeah, well, why don't you do that? So he gave him a little boop, like that, but they want a big burp, like that. Anyway, Marvel and Star Wars, the argument is hard to, for Marvel and Star Wars, the argument is hard to ignore. The expensive new shows Disney curated to drive subscriptions increasingly fail to register on Nielsen's charts, while nearly all DP engagement comes from the older catalog. Disney could license to Netflix, Amazon, Paramount, Warner, or another rival. This is true because at least you get the license fee. So you're making money off of the property. You're holding it exclusive and the thinking that everybody's going to sign up to watch Star Wars and Marvel. Did they? Instead of using Marvel and Star Wars to carry DP, Disney could make the streamers bid against one another for them. That's right. Although now the brand is much less due to the damage you've done. Anyway, K Hall points to Sony's pay-one movie deal with Netflix, worth about $1 billion annually. Wells Fargo estimates Disney's film output would command nearly $4 billion annually for the first streaming window alone, roughly 4 times Sony's deal. Add later windows and Disney's unmatched catalog, and K Hall believes total licensing revenue could hit $15 billion per year. That catalog includes Disney Animation, Pixar, 20th Century Fox, Marvel, and Star Wars, the same library Disney pulled back from competitors to build DP. The argument, it's not that Marvel and Star Wars have no value. It is that Disney may be limiting their value by keeping them locked inside a streaming platform whose new originals are struggling to draw broad audiences. Well, plus they all stunk. They were terrible. I mean, just awful. So, yeah, you're not going to be able to get that price for your crappy Star Wars and Marvel, you know? So, it's another thing to consider. The original Star Wars movies, well, that's a different story. Anyway, the viewing numbers already show that what is keeping DP running, and it is not the latest wave of Marvel originals. As we reported, all right, roughly 95% of DP viewing during the first quarter of 2026 came from catalog titles. Only about 5% came from recent originals. Good Lord, making DP the most catalog-dependent major streamer measured. Nearly every minute watched comes from the old library Disney already owns, while the company continues spending money on new shows that barely move the platform. So, well, yeah, if licensing out, you would make more money than you would make from the subscriptions alone based on the catalog, and the catalog is what sells. So, but then they wouldn't be able to show it on their own thing. But what the hell, if the license fee gains you that much, this having your own platform is stupid. Anyway, Daredevil Born Again went 0 for 17 on Nielsen across its first 2 seasons. The season number 2 finale failed to chart during a week when the cutoff was only 334 million minutes. Wonder Man. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. Still haven't watched it. Some people said it was all right. It's not a superhero story, but for what it is. Yeah. Anyway, Wonder Man disappeared from Nielsen after 1 week. The Punisher, One Last Kill, missed the chart entirely. Marvel is moving ahead anyway. Daredevil Born Again Season 3 is getting bigger with a Defenders reunion, while Wonder Man is also returning. Really? Yet, at the same time, it's moving away from the big budget approach that launched DP. Yeah, because they don't have any money, because they didn't make any. So Disney continues to spend to produce Marvel content for an audience that is primarily using DP to watch older movies and shows. Well, anyway, under K. Hall's model, Disney could stop carrying the full cost and risk of operating the platform and sell that same Marvel library to companies desperate for recognizable franchises. Yeah, there you go. Netflix would probably take some of that. Star Wars lost the audience DP was supposed to build. Oh, no. What happened? Star Wars makes the argument even more obvious. DP launched The Mandalorian as one of its defining originals, then flooded the platform with additional Star Wars series. The expansion did not strengthen the franchise. Star Wars television viewership fell by more than 70%. I wonder what happened there. While the theatrical audience dropped roughly 85% between The Force Awakens and The Mandalorian and Grogu. Force Awakens made $2.71 billion worldwide in 2015. More than a decade later, The Mandalorian and Grogu crawled toward roughly $316 million and became the lowest grossing live-action Star Wars movie domestically. Disney took one of the biggest theatrical brands in history, turned it into a steady stream of television content, and watched the event status disappear like a fart in the wind. Now Star Wars appears headed for the same rest and reset strategy already underway in Marvel. Marvel has Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, clearing the board before a rebuilt MCU centered around the X-Men. Well, it's not much of a rest, though. You know, maybe a year. And then next thing you know, bam, X-Men, So, but still, I take the point. Lucasfilm has an almost empty release calendar beyond Star Wars Starfighter, a new leadership regime, and years of reboot rumors lining up behind it. The question is, what Disney does with Marvel and Star Wars while those brands cool off? License them. Our insiders previously told us Disney is looking for outside material because they need new material to rest their legacy IP before they relaunch them again. So buy some new properties and then ruin those. You got to figure out how to make these work first before, you just buy them up and throw them out there. Anyway, that is why Disney has been looking at possible acquisitions as it prepares to compete with Paramount Warner. Because, hey, you don't have enough already? Well, we smeared poo all over them, and people don't like that. Oh, yeah. Well, just flip the cushions over, The goal is to find other franchises capable of filling the gap while Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar are repaired. But will they be? Insiders have also said Disney needs to win back the male and family audiences those brands lost, and that the company is scrambling for course correction. Kay Hall's proposal offers another piece of that strategy. Well, it's structural, so yes, it would. I think the streaming wars was a fool's bargain, and you were much better off licensing it. So Disney could rest Marvel and Star Wars, rebuild them for theatrical relaunches, and still collect billions by licensing the existing movies and shows to rival streamers. Well, mostly movies. And by movies, I mean the 6 Star Wars films that are the only ones that matter. So you could license those. Marvel, you license the movies that took place in between Iron Man and Infinity War, and you're good. Netflix, Amazon, and a combined Paramount Warner would be left competing for the brands while Disney concentrates on producing the movies, rebuilding the audience, and feeding its parks, cruises, and merchandise businesses. DP was supposed to prove that owning distribution made Marvel and Star Wars more valuable. After years of declining audiences, missed Nielsen charts, and a platform running almost entirely on old content, Wall Street is now making the opposite case. Marvel and Star Wars may be worth more when Disney stops using them to prop up DP and starts making its rivals pay for them. And who knows? Under K.L.'s plan, those millions and millions of fans still watching She-Hulk and The Acolyte may get a season 2. I doubt it. The millions and millions of fans. Well, if there were millions and millions of fans, it would. Of course, the joke. The thing is, though, some of the elements here is, of course, quality is what matters. None of these had any. So that's why it stunk. So that's another reason. So whatever audience you did garner at the outset said, never mind, and left. So, and same thing for Star Wars. So, and the other thing is Marvel is doing what Star Wars needs to do. Apparently they're doing this. They're going to do this reset. Star Wars needs to reset. It needs to undo the damage of that sequel trilogy. This movie in particular, it just burnt the entire franchise to the ground. And everything they've done since it's just gone nowhere near fixing that. And if you don't do that, you're screwed. Marvel is in a better position. You can just do your reboot and forget about these crappy movies that happen in between, and you're good. But Star Wars has a particular, Skywalker saga that built it and everything. And since you basically treated it like toilet paper in Last Jedi, you've got a big problem there. And you just got to suck it up and realize you made a huge mistake. And you never speak of those movies again. But not just ignoring them, that's not going to cut it. You got to actually narratively say it never happened. And however you do it, whether it's a reference to the history of the Skywalkers or something like that in a new Star Wars movie, it won't reference anything of the events of those movies, at the very least. But that's where you are. You know, it's not an easy thing to do, but you put yourself there out of your arrogance, which led you to foolish thinking and destroyed everything you loved. So anyway, that's it for that. Since they're owned by Disney, it stands to reason that this is this plan to revive these franchises. The resting part seems more likely for Star Wars than for Marvel. As I said, it's this ramping up and rumors of burning up about X-Men. They've already got a writer and all that and a director lined up for it. So casting is probably secretly underway, and I suspect they've already done it. So perhaps, Adam Driver and Sadie Sink are already cast and stuff like that, so that an X-Men movie will be coming shortly. So after Secret Wars, it may be the following year that they do an X-Men movie, or maybe they'll rest it for a year. But that's rather a small amount of time in comparison with where Star Wars will be. So, but nevertheless, that's, and again, these are structural things. It's the quality of story and whatnot that needs to increase. Marvel's in a better position for that. Star Wars has a bigger hill to climb, a Mount Everest-sized hill, because you're going to have to do the retcon of that garbage. It's the only way. And it's unfortunate because you had that moment. You had the original cast. You could have done a good farewell to them, be respectful of that, and then write actual stories for your characters. They really didn't for any of them. I mean, they kind of teased there was something about Finn. He's the only one. And then and then dropped it. It was bizarre. It's one thing. Hey, they didn't respect the original characters. No, they didn't. They didn't respect their new characters either. It's just stupid. So that's too bad about who gets hurt about it. But, it's a lot of money to just burn. Peanut Butter says, what are your thoughts on the WB purchase, Doug? Funny you should mention that, because that's going to be the next subject I will talk about. So, Peanut Butter, Kathleen Kennedy, yes. Yeah. She always wanted to show what a brilliant Hollywood brain she was. And she finally got her chance to show the boys how it's really done. Well, she showed them, huh? I mean, the only other thing would be to say she's this brilliant, evil genius who knew exactly how to destroy one of the greatest film franchises of all time. And boy, did she. She did. So you can never take that away from her. No, you really can't. All right. If you can't be famous for victory and glory and stuff, then you commit acts of destruction and evil and you become infamous, Yeah. Ellison goes to Washington to save Hollywood. So, of course, Paramount and WBD merging, and there's been some stumbles here and there, people trying to stop it. I don't think they have a chance whatsoever. As far as the federal government is concerned, they're good to go. But Attorney General from California, Rod Bonta, ended Monday with a lawsuit. So he's joined by 12 other states, I think, to do this lawsuit to block the merger. But we'll get into what the real panic was or is. David Ellison ended at dinner in Washington. So, gee, I wonder who he's cavorting with. So, per Variety, the Paramount Skydance CEO has been quietly backing a bill to create a first ever federal film tax incentive, with support from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Ellison has spent at least 6 months in exploratory meetings on the legislation, and on Monday evening, the same day 12 states sued to block his $110 billion Warner Brothers takeover, he was in D.C. breaking bread with top Republican leadership, General Counsel Makan Delarahim at his side. Politico's Daniel Miller first reported Ellison's interest. Think about that split screen. Monday gave us the Godfather op-ed, the scathing Paramount response. The Bonta gave a line from Godfather because he's trying to act tougher than he is. Paramount once again points out there's no factual data there, nor any case reference to law, so they don't really have a case, but they're doing it anyway. So dueling accusations about who's really protecting the movie business. Well, it's Ellison. Out of this, it's your best bet. It's not a great outcome to have a major studio like Warner Brothers get sold for the third or fourth time now. But at least it's bought by another studio that has made a strong commitment to theatrical release, which is the only business model I can see that would actually work for them. So that's your best bet. Would it be nice if they remained the separate entities they always were and you had all these studios? Yeah, but you burned it all to the ground. That's what Hollywood did. These are the consequences. In order to survive, both companies had to merge. So anyway, that's where they are. So California's AG holding a press conference about Hollywood jobs while the man he's suing sat in Washington working on an actual Hollywood jobs bill. So with tax incentives that is overall over the country, setting a standards for that, then you would have more interest for movies to shoot and have locations and do business in your state. So this is no national film, and there is no national film incentive. California's program tops out at $750 million, and it's been losing the war anyway as productions keep fleeing to rebates in the UK, Canada, Australia, and Eastern Europe. A federal incentive would stack on top of state programs. Yeah, so individual states give the incentives, but now you get a federal one, and it gets nicer. So giving producers a reason to shoot in America again, and it would sweeten the pot most in Hollywood's home state. Which means, as Variety sources couldn't help noting, Ellison spent Monday night working on financial relief for the very state whose attorney general sued him that morning. Yeah, funny how that goes, Nobody should be surprised at the idea's origin. Trump named John Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone his special ambassadors to revive Hollywood. And the plan Voight delivered to the White House had a federal film tax incentive at its center. That proposal is now a bipartisan bill with a mogul quietly pushing it through 6 months of meetings. And it's no mystery which mogul Washington prefers. Trump made clear where he stood in the Warner Brothers bidding war and wanted a Netflix takeover stopped. Ellison's man in the room, Delarahim, is Trump's former DOJ antitrust chief. The official who sued to block AT&T Time Warner, the last Warner mega merger, now defending this one. Say what you want about the optics. Everyone in this fight is playing Washington because you have to. Yeah, that's the way it is. And Ellison is simply better at it. Here's the deal that makes this more than lobbying theater. Hollywood unions are on the same side. The Directors Guild of America, headed by Christopher Nolan, just wrote into its new contract that top studio executives must lobby for domestic filming incentives. And the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees and SAG-AFTRA have taken up the federal push. These are the same labor groups that remain cool on the merger itself, yet on the incentive, they're standing with Ellison. Well, when you get down to the factual realities of this, instead of holding on to the fantasy that Warner Brothers is somehow going to remain as it always was, is lunacy. So that's the pattern with this Paramount WBD regime. It keeps the receipts on what audiences actually want. It's part of an industry-wide 180-degree turn toward the fans Hollywood spent a decade shunning, and Netflix keeps proving the Warner Brothers buy was the right call. Bonta's lawsuit says the merger kills jobs and choices. Ellison's answer delivered over dinner in D.C. a bill that would fund both. One of them filed a complaint about saving Hollywood. The other one is writing the legislation. Audiences and voters tend to notice who shows up with the check. Well, the factual realities of this scenario is more in the favor of Paramount than the idiot politician. But the other thing is, when you expand it overall, that means you can shoot elsewhere. And if Hollywood continues to price themselves out of it, they're going to lose. So they're going to have to lower those costs. But then that does increase jobs because it's more, the incentive is there. So there's more potential for profit. And so you go into it. If you price it out, nobody shows up. And so there are no jobs, So that's the deal as it stands. There's a lot of firing back and forth, but there's just no real case at stopping the merger at this time, because where else are you going to go? These companies will die apart, and these are the consequences for their decisions, and primarily the woke era. You chased your audience away, your money dried up, and now what are you going to do? And just all these people flaking out and crying and wanting daddy to stay forever. It doesn't work that way. So they're going to lose. That's that. So, Ghost Crusader. Oh, well, thank you very much, Ghost Crusader. Says, happy birthday, Douglas, for $9.99. Thank you very, very much, Ghost Crusader. So that makes it the first one, the official first super chat for the newly monetized Nailsin ratings. So there we go. And for my birthday. Thank you, Ghost Crusaders TV. Saying hi to Spurg Steak. Everybody saying hi. Peanut Butter says, Jesus, we need that. Angered me when Marvel moved. Keep your money in America. Well, that's the thing. Yeah. So that's another. We're losing it to overseas and whatnot. And they all seem fine with it. I want to save jobs in Hollywood. And I'm like, well, no, you don't. So yeah. And with the incentives, it's not that. That's the reason. That's why you do it. I mean, sometimes, you want to do a Bond movie, so you got to get some location shots in France or whatever, and that kind of thing. But for the main thing is a lot of different films you could shoot right here, but they don't because it's too expensive. So you see the idiocy in that, and all you got to do is garner the business. And when you have economic activity, you increase revenue. When you price it out, it all shrinks and goes away. It's not that hard to figure out, but for whatever reason, some people just don't get it. So anyway, yeah, Ellison's right on this one. Now look, when he takes over, he's probably going to do a bunch of decisions that really pisses everyone off. It can happen. But for right now, on the surface of it, he's making the right call. So now he'll be in charge overall. I mean, he'll put someone in charge, probably DeLuca in charge of DC going forward. But that's the thing. So what's going to happen with the DCU and the mess that it is? Oh, dear Lord. What a thing to inherit. But that's how the crumbles cookie. So I'll take a look at some of these DCU rumors. We'll go through those. And here's one. And look, if she's cast as Wonder Woman, I think that makes more sense than the Maxima character. So I think that's a better deal. So I'll take Gross Crusader's message here. Thanks again, Gross Crusader. Ghost Crusader. Look, I've been up all night. Thanks again very much for the lovely gift. My first super chat. See, I'll always remember it. Ghost Crusader TV. Thank you very much. All right, let's get to Wonder Woman. Or is it? Maxima spotted on Man of Tomorrow set? It might be Wonder Woman. Well, I mean, would they go through the trouble of dressing her up in the Maxima suit just to fool people and then later CGI it into the Wonder Woman suit? Can they afford that? I mean, they lost a lot of money on Supergirl. A rumor is making the rounds on social media that Maxima may have been spotted on the Atlanta set of James Gunn's Man of Tomorrow. But even the account pushing it admits it isn't sure what it saw. It? Oh, is that the pronoun? The Atlanta filming, which keeps tabs on productions shooting around Georgia, posted a very blurry photo said to be from the set, showing a woman who appears to be wearing shoulder pads. That's it. That's the evidence. According to the account, it previously joked about a woman in a red dress being Maxima. Well, she wears a green outfit and now thinks that this new mystery woman might be the Almeration Queen because, oh, that's right. That's the planet she comes from. Thinking, what is this in South America? What? No, it's Almeration Queen because in its words, she has the shoulder pads. In a follow-up post featuring Maxima comic art, the account walked things back even further, admitting the original sighting happened weeks ago. I can't remember lunch, and that the woman it first thought was Maxima wore a red dress and a red wig. Well, now that's a little more telling. She's redheaded. Well, that is Maxima. While the shoulder pads woman in the new photo looks smudgy. Oh, it wasn't even the woman with the shoulder pads was not in the red dress or the red wig. So the account summed up its own case as A plus B equals shoulder pads. It does? I thought it equaled C. Even the commenters couldn't make anything out, with one admitting they had no idea what they were supposed to be seeing, and another saying that zooming in on the blur looks like Adria Arjona. Anyway, here's they redid Wonder Woman's outfit a couple of times, and this is one of the crappier versions they did. But she's got shoulder pads, but her hair's not red. Anyway, here's the thing about those shoulder pads. When Arjona's casting was announced back in April, Deadline reported she was playing Maxima, while The Hollywood Reporter said it couldn't confirm the character, and DC Studios declined to comment. As we exclusively reported, our insiders say Adria Arjona is really playing Wonder Woman in Man of Tomorrow, not Maxima. And the confusion exists because Gunn wrote the character into the script as a placeholder that could go either way. Wow. Either way. Anyway, and Wonder Woman with shoulder pads is straight out of the comics. Well, see, that's the outfit. But yeah, they might be going because he did pick the new 52 because her new 52 outfit was much better, but this is what she ended up doing later. So I guess Gunn might pick that to differentiate her from, Gal Gadot and all that. But, and he did borrow those elements for Superman from New 52. So yeah, it doesn't completely take out the possibility that she's Wonder Woman. Anyway, back in 2015, Diana debuted a new armored costume in Wonder Woman 41 from writer Meredith Finch and artist David Finch. I wonder if they're together. Complete with gold pauldrons and on the shoulders and blades on the forearms. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think a blade shot out of the the bracelets or something. Anyway, so if the DCU's Wonder Woman takes any cues from the new 52 armor, a costume Diana spotted from a mile away is going to show the exact same silhouette. Shoulder pads. So yeah, here's Maxima. That's what she's supposed to look like, which, that would be pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, the big red hair. So if they're seeing red hair, but anyway, who is Maxima? Well, created by Roger Stern and George Perez in 1989's Action Comics 645, Maxima is the warrior queen from the planet Almerac who comes to Earth in search of a suitable mate and sets her sights on Superman. The oversized golden shoulder armor is part of her classic look, which is the entire basis for the gets. Well, that and the fact that, what was it, Deadline said, hey, we think she's playing, we heard she's playing Maxima. So, Anyway, a cosmic queen chasing the Man of Steel would fit a Brainiac movie. But right now, the only thing supporting the Maxima sighting is a photo so blurry, its own photographer isn't sure what's in it. File it under rumor. Well, it's all rumor. But a Maxima thing, wanting to bang Superman, that kind of fits Gunn, The only thing about swapping her out for Wonder Woman, you can't have Wonder Woman. I mean, I guess he would. She's trying to bang Superman, and he just, switches it out to make it Wonder Woman instead of Maxima, which would be lazy and stupid, but all for the point of him casting the main characters before he's given the boot out the door. So, anyway. So we've also been told to expect big cameos and fan service because this could be it for Gunn and his DCU, possibly including Tom Brittney as Batman, while the standalone Wonder Woman movie remains stuck in the early stages and probably won't happen when this thing collapses. So whether it's Maxima or Wonder Woman under those shoulder pads, my money is on Diana, Wonder Woman. The same insiders who called the Daredevil Born Again retooling months before the trades confirmed it to say that that's who Arjona is playing. And a blurry photo doesn't change that. Well, all right then. Maybe. So I see the argument, but yeah, it could still go either way because she goes both ways. Oh, yeah. That's what I've heard. I'm going to stick to that one. Anyway, so there's, Wonder Woman. Will it happen? I don't know. Peanut Butter says basic economics. Exactly. Ghost Crusader TV says Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are large shareholders in a company that uses AI to create background sets. They claim it's only for when you need to do reshoots. Yeah, right. Sold the company to Netflix. Yep. Ghost Crusader TV. Now Wonder Woman is from Puerto Rico? Yeah. Ghost Crusader TV. Horrible outfit. Yeah, it is. It's really bad. Now, I mean, they might just include the shoulder pads and the rest of it kind of looks more like the usual Wonder Woman suit. But I don't know. James Gunn seems to be taken with the new 52 looks. And I mean, her original one, it was all right. It got rid of all the gold and made it silver. So it kind of looked like red, white, and blue on her suit. Yeah. But it was basically the same old Wonder Woman suit you always saw. Oh yeah. Lobo. What's to become of Lobo after his big debut in Supergirl that turned out not to be so super? And well, yeah. Lobo's next DC role revealed. And it's not the solo movie. What could it be? The Lobo solo movie may be sitting in limbo. Oh no, what happened? But DC keeps finding work for the main man. It fits the pattern of James Gunn keeping the character in play. Following reports that Momoa is rumored for a role in Man of Tomorrow. Lobo is set to appear in Starfire, the upcoming animated series from DC Studios and Warner Brothers. Okay. That doesn't, I mean, does Jason Momoa do the voice? I don't know. The news is making the rounds with Scooper, My Time to Shine Hello, summing up the situation in 4 words. James Gunn putting him everywhere. Okay. Per Nexus Point News, rundown of the panel. Starfire follows the Tamaranian princess as the leader of a team of alien girls. Oh, God. Made of crush, fern, and amethyst. With the series set in the Vega Galaxy. Hendon Walsh is returning to voice Starfire, the role she has held since the 2003 Teen Titans series, and a clip of Starfire fighting her sister Blackfire screened for the ANSI war crowd. Anyway, then comes the kicker to the balls. Lobo, the Gotham City, and Thanagarians will all be making an appearance. The show is described as an 11-minute kids. All right, who cares? You know, it doesn't matter. All right. That's where technically Lobo appeared in some dumb cartoon. He's already been in cartoons. Does this one matter at all? I say no. Meanwhile, they still got Batman. No, not for the DCU, but they got Matt Reeves' Batman. The first movie stunk. The Penguin series was brilliant and great. Can the next movie be as good as the Penguin series? One can hope, but I don't know. But meanwhile, we know Scarlett Johansson's going to be in it, and one wonders, hey, who's she playing? And at first I thought, could she be playing Poison Ivy? Well, the Batman Part 2 rumor, Scarlett Johansson is really playing Poison Ivy. So we're back to Poison Ivy now. I mean, I can say it, but I didn't know that she would want to dye her hair red. Or, well, she could wear the wig. But, I mean, she was having red hair for Black Widow and Marvel. And then they say, yeah, we want you to do that again, but wear green. And she's like, all right, then. Scarlett Johansson's mystery role in the Batman Part Number 2 may finally have a name. And it's not Gilda Dent. Yeah, people thought she was going to be Harvey Dent's wife. But, yeah. A new rumor out of the production claims Johansson is the sequel's main villain, a serial killer obsessed with plants who murders her victims with toxins. That's Poison Ivy, a grounded Matt Reeves style Poison Ivy, but Poison Ivy. So you just take away, the superpower element of Poison Ivy, and she poisons people, hence the name, The claim spread on X and originated on the DCU Leaks subreddit from a user who says the information comes from the set of the Batman Part Number 2. According to the post, Johansson is playing the film's central villain, described as already said that. Her main target, Charles Dance's character, described as the leader of a secret organization made up of the most powerful figures in the city. Well, that's the Court of Owls in everything but name. It's the Court of Owls. So they'll stick that in there as well. So the post also backs up Jeff Snyder's recent bombshell that Sebastian Stan is playing Victor Zsasz, not Harvey Dent. Yeah, that was a bit of a blow. So, worth noting on sourcing, the DCU Leaks mods approved the post, and per accounts circulated on X, the user provided proof to the mod team before posting. The poster also admits code names were used on set, so parts of the post are their own read of what they saw and heard. File it as rumor, but a rumor with more paperwork behind it than most. And hopefully the paperwork isn't toilet paper. Yeah, she's nice. Yeah. But if they take away all the fantastic elements, she's not going to be in the green tights because, that was the best part about Black Widow. That amazing booty. Yeah. Anyway, here's the detail everyone memory hold. Well, I don't know. Not me. When Nexus News or Point News first broke that Johansson was in talks for the Batman Part Number 2, the report listed the characters she could be playing: Andrea Beaumont, the Phantasm; Vicky Vale; Julie Madison; and Pamela Isley, a.k.a. Poison Ivy. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I didn't memory hole it. Anyway, once the trades confirmed the casting and settled on the Gilda narrative, the Ivy option was forgotten within a week. Not me, but I figured, yeah, Gilda makes sense because he probably wants to do more of the, the longest Halloween thing. Anyway, if this set leak is accurate, NPN had it in their original report the whole time. This also tracks what we've been reporting for months. Back in December, we questioned whether Johansson was really just playing Harvey Dent's wife. And in January, we floated that her role could be far bigger and darker than the trades let on, possibly even the sequel's real villain. So yeah, if they followed up with Gilda Dent, she could still be the villain as a serial killer and all that. And that kind of played up more to Matt Reeves' take as being more realistic and grounded and all that. But if he's just going to, change up Poison Ivy to be some woman who uses poison, then it still fits, And this is a lot better than revealing that she's the female Two-Face. Oh, I wasn't interested in that at all. So the specific character may be different, but the instinct was right. You don't play Scarlett Johansson. You don't pay Scarlett Johansson to stand next to the DA. Then, again, if it was Gilda, then she gets revealed as the main villain from that long Halloween or Dark Victory story, Anyway, then came the Stan saga. His many roles comment had everyone, us included, treating Stan as Two-Face as a done deal until Snyder's report that Stan is actually Zazaz, with Brian Tyree Henry as Harvey Dent. So Harvey Dent will be race swapped. And the Court of Owls pulling Gotham strings. Remember what Snyder's sources said in that same report? Johansson and Dance aren't playing big names, but rather a meld of different characters, with their roles kept quiet because revealing them would give too much away. A depowered serial killer who happens to be obsessed with plants and poisons is exactly that kind of meld. Part Pamela Isley, part original Reeves creation. Well, why don't you make up your own characters and do your own movie instead of taking them anyway? And recall Reeves has said the sequel's villain is one that hasn't been done before. That's not true. Uma Thurman played her in a crappy Batman movie, but nevertheless, it's not true. No one hasn't played her. So a serious live action Poison Ivy never has. So I guess because it wasn't serious. There's one more piece that snaps into place. Just last month, Snyder reported that DC might have a live action Poison Ivy series in the works, with the open question being which universe gets her, James Gunn's DCU or Reeves' Batman epic crime saga. Well, as it stands now, I think Reeves will get her. Anyway, Snyder's hang up at the time was Poison Ivy is on the goofier side. It wouldn't work as a movie. A grounded, toxin-wielding serial killer introduced in the Batman Part Number 2 answers that objection completely and hands the Reeves-verse a ready-made spinoff lead at the exact moment. The Penguin Season 2 is reportedly dead. Well, that's unfortunate. But then they do a Poison Ivy series. But would it be as good as Penguin? I don't know. The Penguin even planted the seed. Sophia Falcone's mushroom-derived bliss drug. Oh, yeah. Already had fans theorizing about a Pamela Isley connection in this universe. That is true. That's right. yeah, this might actually have been, the whole thing. So confirmed Robert Pattinson. Oh, yeah, everybody's involved. So there you go. Perhaps, just perhaps, Scarlett Johansson is Poison Ivy. Yeah, could be the deal. I mean, again, we know she looks good in red, so it could be as simple as that. Peanut butter. Were you a fan of Peacemaker, Doug? It wasn't incredible, but I didn't mind it. I liked the first season. That was a lot of fun. The second season, yeah, screw that. That was terrible. It had some good moments. Tim Meadows and Eagle Lee were the best performers in that one. Didn't get enough of them though. And that's about it. The rest of it was just utter trash. Ghost Crusaders TV, they are race swapping Harvey Dent again with some mediocre actor to boot. I'm not a fan of Matt Reeves, the Batman. Yeah, me neither. Now the Penguin Show, I got it was brilliant. It was great. But we'll see. But yeah, I stop race swapping. Just stop doing it. He could be someone else, you know? And especially since you're not going to do Two-Face, you're just going to have him be Harvey Dent, you know? Then well, whatever. They race swap Commissioner Gordon. All right, so they figure, I'll do that. Well, then why isn't Batman race swap? You think that's some great move on your part or whatever? You didn't do it to Batman. So anyway, Ghost Crusader TV, easy to make Poison Ivy realistic and fantastical. Make her an eco-terrorist that sets off a bomb at Star Labs and have her end up becoming a metahuman. Yeah, but they're not going to do metahumans in Reeves' Batman universe. So for the longest time, people were rumored that Mr. Freeze would show up in this. You'd basically have to make him a guy who kills people with, I don't know, what do you call that? Damn it. Is it nitrous oxide? No, damn it. Anyway, something that can freeze people. But other than that, you can't have him with his ice ray gun and all that sort of stuff. That's not going to work. So you got to change them up. But her is an eco-terrorist type thing. And especially you could connect it, as they said here, with James Gunn's, not James Gunn, with the Penguin's Bliss thing. You would have something cool that way as well. Well, the gifts keep coming. We have a super tip from Ghost Crusader TV again. Thank you, Ghost Crusader. So I've got to go move to my super tip screen. Go there. There we go. I guess I could do it like this. Well, maybe I should. Does it allow me to do that? Oh, I'd have to move. Well, who cares? We just want to see the thing. So you got me an image here. Okay. We'll put that up and it should be there. Does it blow it up? Yeah. Do it bigger. Oops. I guess you still need to be able to read the message. There we go. All right. So there we go. Sydney Sweeney should play Wonder Woman. Well, yeah, they could get her to dye her hair, and there you go. She could certainly fill out the costume. We all know that. Can she lasso things with the rope? You got to learn how to do that. I suppose the stunt double can handle that. They announced she was going to do a remake of Barbarella. I hope that's true. That would be magnificent. And then we can forget about that one that started that traitor, you know, and it can be all about sweet, sweet Sydney. And that would be nice. But sure, she could be Wonder Woman. Why not? So there we go. Thanks again, Ghost Crusader TV, for the super tip. All right. What else? It's a simple story about the Batgirl movie. I don't know. J.K. Simmons was being interviewed, and he said it actually tested better than people said it did. So maybe he's right. I don't know. I always thought that thing, it got scrapped, not just for being a bad movie. Maybe it was. But it was all connected to a direction for the DC franchise that they were no longer going to do. So, you know, that was part of the thing. They still could have dumped it on HBO Max or something, I would have thought. But since they were hurting for cash, they probably figured that the tax write-off was better. Another article here about the potential of Zack Snyder coming back, but you know the deal. Will it happen? I don't know. There are certain elements here that might make it possible, but whatevs. Let's get to the horror movies, or shows rather, that are on the way. And horror is the one genre that's pretty much survived all the weirdness, the crazy, self-destructive, strange era that Hollywood has been in for this past decade. Oh, wait, that's not supposed to happen. There you go. There, that'll work. All right. So not sure about this one by any measure, because prequels and stuff, I'm like, another one. But anyway, let's see here. So Crystal Lake teaser trailer presents Pam Voorhees on a bloody quest for revenge and the first look footage. So I think it's Linda Cardellini plays Mama Voorhees. So we finally have a first look at A24 and Peacock's Friday the 13th prequel, Crystal Lake. The small screen reboot has enlisted Brad Caleb Kane as showrunner, with Linda Cardellini, Hawkeye? Was she in? Oh, she was his wife. And yeah, is set to lead the series as Jason Voorhees' mother, Pamela. Excuse me. The series follows single mother Pam Voorhees. Yeah. Who was daddy? Well, who has been unable to shake her grief after her young, sickly son, Jason, tragically drowned in the town lake almost a year before. When two teenagers arrive at Pam's door, digging into her past, a disturbing chain of events is set into motion, leaving the townspeople of Crystal Lake wondering, just who is Pam Voorhees? The sneak peek is brief, so it doesn't reveal much beyond the aftermath of Jason's death and Pamela's bloody mission of revenge. There's a lot of intrigue surrounding how the 8-episode series will play out, especially as it will likely serve as an origin story for Jason, who is eventually resurrected as an unstoppable supernatural serial killer as well. Kane, who is no stranger to horror prequels after working on HBO's Welcome to Derry, told Entertainment Weekly that Linda Cardellini was the first and only name that came to me that I wanted. So they're dating? We wanted to dive into Pam's psychology. We wanted to see her unraveling after watching the events of the movie that everybody knows. That's the problem. Everybody knows. We wanted to see her relationship with Jason and what his death kicks off in her. Well, it fractures her mind. She goes nuts and starts killing people over his death. Her trying to find some sort of equilibrium in her life after the thing that ostensibly she lives for, her son, was taken away from her, and how all the people around her and the circumstances surrounding her make that impossible to do. So it's really a character piece. Based on the Friday the 13th franchise timeline, Crystal Lake should take place in the 1950s. However, the showrunners decided to move the timeline around and set the story in the 70s instead. Okay, I wanted to touch on all the pop culture artifacts that were tangential to the America from which these movies were born. Yeah, but they said it in Okay, Crystal Lake won't be the first time this iconic horror franchise has been brought to television, as Friday the 13th, the series, aired. Yeah, but it had nothing to do with it. That's why mention that? It's just, it is only in title. So, the last time we saw Jason on our screens was in the 2009 reboot. So, Peacock's going to have this series. You can watch her go crazy when her son dies, and I guess maybe they'll set up some of the elements that'll lead to, I guess, the supernatural origins of him, you know, how he comes back and all that. I forget. I haven't seen all of the Friday the 13th movies. I mean, I got kind of tired of them. But but these approach of prequels, it's already deviating from it. It just the story of a woman who loses her mind over the death of her son. Could they make a compelling series out of that? I suppose, but you just slap the Friday the 13th brand on it. It already tells me you're not so sure of yourself as to what story you want to tell. So, but yeah, maybe it'll work. We'll see. All right. That one down. 4 to go, I guess. Sort of. Let's see a few more. Read that one. Ghost Crusader TV. I don't know what the Clayface is going to be like. It's going to be a body horror story. It's probably closer to what we're saying is akin to The Substance. Kind of, sort of. But it's going to be more. He's going to get violent revenge on the guys who screwed him up and that sort of thing. And then he kind of goes nuts and becomes a danger to this woman trying to help him. That kind of story. Sounds like what it'll be. And it might work as for what it is, but the bigger problem is kind of the same thing with Crystal Lake here. You got a Batman movie with no Batman. Like Crystal Lake has a Jason movie with no Jason. He gets killed off. I mean, I guess he'll be in it more than Batman will be in that movie. Although, with the rumors that Tom Brittney has been cast to be the DCU Batman and might appear at Man of Tomorrow, if they could fit in at least a cameo that Batman does indeed appear in the Clayface movie, that would go a long way for it. I don't know if they, because there's warring over Batman between Reeves and James Gunn, apparently, and this kind of thing. And Gunn just doesn't have any leg to stand on anymore. He's just been failing since he started. So it's pretty bad. Buttons Entropy, happy birthday, or hey, happy birthday. Thank you very much, Buttons Entropy. Thank you very much indeed. Terrible Troy says, she doesn't give me Betsy Palmer vibes. Yeah, I know. She's going to turn into the lady we saw, That lady was scary. Anyway, Peanut Butter, I'm excited for Clayface, but they probably dropped the ball. Love that Clayface from Batman. The animated series is, you're never going to beat that for Batman stories outside of comic books. And they could learn a lot from it. And there's some elements that sounds like for the plot of the Clayface movie that's very similar to what they did in that series. But there's no Batman in it. So, and they said, hey, we can turn this into a horror movie. So they're, I guess, kind of, sort of trying to do for Clayface what they did with Joker. Hopefully they won't follow it with a sequel that was as bad as the sequel to Joker was. Terrible Troy, Peanut, I loved all the animated series stuff. Yeah, it was great. It was, and nothing has surpassed it since. Peanut Butter, the 90s one was choice. Yes. The same with the Superman one, had the great Kirby look and feel. Yeah, it did. They did a lot of New God stuff in there. And the Batman series, I think, is far superior, but a lot of great stuff with the Superman. And it's the best Superman cartoon they've had. And there's a lot of lessons in that, gee, I wonder how we make a successful DC movie franchise. And of course you got decades of material, but what they did there with that series, and then later their Justice League, was brilliant. So A. Thompson says, happy birthday, you old fuck. Well, what are you going to do? My only alternative is, A. Thompson, there is a new Godzilla coming November in IMAX. See, even Godzilla's smart enough to get IMAX, whereas, Marvel didn't. Well, it's understandable. It's Godzilla, for God's sakes. But yeah, looking forward. I love the Godzilla -1. That was amazing. I thought it was brilliant. So hopefully the sequel is just as good. maybe better. Terrible Troy. Happy birthday, Doug. I hope you get properly spoiled. That's the plan. That's the plan. But I don't know. I thought I'd do this stream. Also, later in the night, I'll probably do another. I'm going to collapse after this, but, but I do want some Chinese dinner. I got to go get, it's, they won't open for another, what? Crap. No, not 3, 2 hours. Yeah, all right. Things are looking up. I can get that. I'm going to eat myself into a coma. Terrible. -1 in black and white was the I didn't see it in black and white. I saw it in color. But yeah, I bet that is cool. Because that's one of the things with Godzilla is, what's your favorite Godzilla movie? It was always the first one. Yeah. But that was surprising how good it was. I was thinking, well, you're going to get this monster movie and all that, and it should be fun. But, well, all right. Well, speaking of reboots and all that good stuff, well, has it been good? Not in a while. But, another horror franchise wants to make a comeback. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger will return to theaters and reboot from Paramount. Didn't they already reboot this one? And that guy who played Rorschach in Watchmen. I never saw it. I guess I should check out the reboot. Yeah. But anyway, in some exciting news for horror lovers, well, there's plenty of horror movies that are new and refreshing already, so I don't know. But anyway, The Hollywood Reporter has revealed that Paramount Pictures has acquired the rights to Wes Craven's original screenplay for A Nightmare on Elm Street. This means Freddy Krueger is finally returning to theaters. Well, like I said, it wasn't that long ago. They did a reboot. But anyway, he's going to return to theaters with Craven's original script adapted into a new movie under the studio's recently launched genre label, Paramount Primal. That's led by J.D. Lifshitz. Okay, J.D. And Raphael Margulies, the producers behind horror hits like Barbarian and Friendship. I didn't see Friendship. The Barbarian was pretty good. The rights to A Nightmare on Elm Street are complicated. New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers previously held them after releasing the original movie in 1984. That spawned seven sequels, a reboot, a TV series, comics, and merchandise that continues to appear on store shelves. Well, I guess since they took over Warner Brothers, they got those rights, huh? Anyway, U.S. copyright laws allows authors to reclaim rights 35 years after publication. The Craven estate, along with attorney-turned-producer Mark Toberoff, regained the rights in 2019 and has largely sat on them ever since. However, while Paramount holds the domestic rights after this deal, New Line will likely release the reboot internationally. No details about this reboot have been revealed beyond it's being set in the world of A Nightmare on Elm Street based on the original screenplay. So it's a remake, right? Anyway, Craven's widow, Iva LaBunca, said today, "We look forward to bringing the world of Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street to a new and completely engaged generation of fans. We know that Wes would have been thrilled to see how horror is taking its long overdue place in the cultural canon. We can't wait for all of us to sit together in a dark theater around the campfire of today as the next chapter of the nightmare story unfolds." Well, if it's the next chapter, but it's the same script. I don't know. Anyway, Lifshitz and Margulies added, "We can't remember a time before we were fans of Wes Craven. The fact that Aya and Jonathan have entrusted us with this opportunity to help usher a new story into this world is an honor beyond words, but I'm giving you some words anyway. We look forward to working alongside them to bring a terrifying new nightmare to audiences everywhere and to welcome Freddy home." Well, as you recall, in A Nightmare on Elm Street, Nancy is having grisly nightmares. Meanwhile, her high school friends, who are having the very same dreams, are being slaughtered in their sleep by the hideous fiend of their shared nightmares. When the police ignore her explanation, she herself must confront the killer in his shadowy realm. Robert Englund, and to a lesser extent, Jackie Earle Haley, are best known for playing Freddy Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street. There's currently no word on who will be next to play the iconic villain. Are you excited for a new take on this horror classic? Not really. No. But they're just going to do a remake of the script, it sounds like. So I don't know. A new chapter? Not really. But I suppose. And then what? You do remakes of the sequels or do different sequels maybe? That didn't go over well with Halloween. And Rob Zombie crap. That was pretty bad. None of the remakes of John Carpenter's movies are any good. All right. Okay. The Thing prequel was interesting, but the other movies, they were terrible. Hey, Thompson, what did you get for your birthday? I got monetization on YouTube. Terrible Troy, the Stern Godzilla pinball is epic. Oh. So you think they could cast Stern as A. Thompson? Didn't English die? Did it? A. Thompson. Oh, the guy from Jurassic Park died today. Yeah. Yeah, he did, unfortunately. He was dealing with cancer, but they said he was cancer free and he was all happy about it. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was that or as the result of the struggle that he had, did more damage to him than he thought. And then sadly, he passed away. Terrible Troy, the remake was crap. The Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. Sam Neill, rest in peace. A. Thompson, I should have said the guy from Event Horizon died today. Doug would have got it. Yeah, I only saw Event Horizon once. Wasn't a big fan of it. Not really. Ghost Crusader TV, gonna be the shits. So they're not gonna lift shits. Will not be able to lift the shit out of the Nightmare on Elm Street. A. Thompson, non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Yeah, it was something like that. Crusaders TV won't work without Robert Englund. Yeah, it's one of those things, you're kind of, you're going to have to be influenced by the story and try to come up with something new. Once you had an iconic run and some actor casts a long shadow over a row, very difficult to replace them. So that's that. And then, but wait, why stop there? And why let Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger have all the fun of being milked yet again because no one has any ideas? What about Carrie? Stephen King's debut novel is reimagined in Mike Flanagan's TV series, Carrie. There already was a remake movie, wasn't there? But no one remembers that because the original is good enough. So anyway, as we first reported, you did, Prime Video has revealed a first look at Carrie, the upcoming TV series based on Stephen King's iconic debut novel, described as a bold, timely, and surprising reinvention of this classic coming-of-age story. Mike Flanagan is adapting it for television. Carrie, misfit high schooler Carrie White, played by Summer Howell, has spent her life hidden away inside the walls of her home with her fiercely protective mother, Margaret Samantha Sloyan. Not familiar. After her father's sudden untimely death thrusts her into the unforgiving ecosystem of public high school, Carrie is forced to navigate a viral bullying scandal that tears through her community. The relentless pressure and casual cruelty of the social media age. Okay, so they're adapting it to modern times. And the awakening of mysterious telekinetic powers, she's an X-Man, that rise alongside her adolescence. While some fans of the novel may raise an eyebrow, I'm sure they will. The story being reimagined like this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It usually is, though. Flanagan always has something to say in his horror projects, and placing a character like Carrie in a modern school setting could take her to some fascinating places. So people are going to make TikTok videos mocking her and making fun of her. And she's going to murder them all when they dump that bucket of blood on her while streaming to TikTok. Anyway, 8 propulsive episodes, the series expands King's cultural landmark, deepening its characters and tensions, and following the small, everyday choices that build toward a single shattering night in a gripping, deeply human story about kindness versus cruelty. And whether we're witnessing the making of a hero, a monster, or something far more complicated. So they're even going to ruin the whole ending and stuff as well. She goes on to be a superhero like 11 from Stranger Things, stuff like that, you know. Carrie stars Summer Howell as Carrie White, cast in the legendary titular role, following an extensive search that saw more than 1,000 actors read. They could read. So anyway, all these people are in it. It's written and showrun by these people. And Stephen King's debut novel, Carrie, was published in 1974, launching a career in which his books have sold more than 350 million copies worldwide. The novel spent 14 weeks on the New York Times the New York Times bestseller list, and has been translated into more than 35 languages. Brian De Palma's 1976 film adaptation, an Academy Award nominated feature, celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. Well, happy birthday, Carrie. You know, yeah, that's it. You watch that movie with Sissy Spacek, and John Travolta's in it too, and that's all you need. You know, you're gonna do this. You're gonna put it in a time beyond which, I don't know. I don't know. Is this girl a really great actress and she's just going to wow everybody with it, I suppose? But it's all going to be, again, they're going to make fun of her on TikTok. And with her superpowers, she's going to start killing some of these bastards, you know? But anyway, I'm dubious. I'm dubious of all this stuff, you know, of Crystal Lake and the Freddy Krueger remake and all that. But, well, maybe one of them will rise above all the rest and really show they got something. But still, when it comes to Carrie, you just watch the movie called Carrie. It's been done. You know? That would be my suggestion. It typically is with these things. I mean, how many reboots and remakes have we been through now? And every now and then one does okay. You know, it's got something. So I guess there's hope. But hope is not a strategy. See? Yeah. All right, let me get rid of that. What's the next one? Oh, yeah. I don't know if A. Thompson's still here. He'll like this one. Go back and look at chat. Must read chat. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, read that one. Terrible Choices. They already did an awful remake of Carrie. I thought so. I didn't see it. You know, because again, the original is the classic. I mean, that's it. Anyway, Ghost Crusader TV. Mike Flanagan is also doing the Exorcist sequel / new movie in the same universe. Carrie and Exorcist are in the same universe? Or are they just doing more of they've been doing these remakes of Exorcist and they all bomb. I mean, that's another one. There's one Exorcist film, that's it. You know, I mean, the second one was garbage. The third one, I mean, it had some cool stuff in it. I'll give it that. You know, the old lady doing Spider-Man on the ceiling and stuff. But after that, it's like, come on, you know, and there's other, you know, demon possessed movies, you know, you can do those. Anyway, well, if he's involved in that, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, Terrible Troy. I love the new Evil Dead Burn. Saw it with Nasty Neil yesterday. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I saw a lot about it. It's kind of interesting about that, where I guess it's almost like they've turned Evil Dead into an anthology concerning the Book of the Dead. And so just different people come in contact with it and shenanigans ensue. So I guess that's what they're doing. I mean, it looked all creepy and nasty, you know. So, but it's, you know, it's kind of tough after Bruce Campbell dominated that whole thing, you know. A. Thompson says, watch it until you love it. Well, there's lots of things I've watched and hated. And seeing it again anytime soon didn't help. So, but I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Gross Crusader TV, Chloe Grace Moretz was Carrie. Oh, jeez. There was also a sequel to Carrie in the 90s. Oh, my God. A sequel. So she really, well, it wasn't just a dream. She did come up out of her grave at the end. A. Thompson, Robert Englund was a real actor. Yes. FKHC 2005, you have a birthday. Who knew? Happy birthday, Doug. Thank you. Thank you very much. FKHC 2005. Ghost Crusaders TV, better her than Zendaya. Yeah. I mean, that's a Zendaya and Pedro Pascal. They're everywhere. Yeah. Terrible Troy. William Catt rocked in the original. Yeah, that's right. He was in there. The greatest American. He was almost Luke Skywalker, you know. Anyway, A. Thompson, I'm here. Okay, A. Thompson, good that you're here. I've got a story just for you. Maybe I'll pause right there, get back to the chat after this one, and we'll go over for this little tidbit. Still counts as horror, you know. It does. It does. So it fits within the theme. There you go. Alien Earth Season 2 first look released after shooting officially gets underway. 3 more join the cast. So there's the close-up of the real star, you know. Oh, no. Broke his nose. Oh, gee, that's going to hurt. Anyway, cameras are now rolling on the second season of Noah Hawley's Alien Earth, and FX has released a first look via behind-the-scenes promo image featuring Wendy and Hermit having what appears to be a typically intense conversation. 3 more cast members have also been added to the show's ensemble. Tracy Ullman. Okay. Sam Spurrell and Jeremy Flynn. They joined the previously announced Peter Dinklage. I didn't even know he was going to be in it. You know, when it comes to Wonder Woman, Peter Dinklage could play Dr. Psycho. He could. They should do that. Anyway, no details on any of these new characters have been disclosed. Well, we know the season 1 finale concluded with Wendy, Hermit, and the other hybrids, along with a pair of xenomorphs, taking control of Prodigy Research Center and imprisoning Boy Cavalier, Kirsch, Dame Sylvia, Adam Inns, and Morrow. A victory, but possibly a short-lived one. Well, yeah, but you really want them to win? I mean, because, you know, it was a show that had a lot of great aesthetics. It really captured the alien era when they went on that other ship and stuff. And a lot of cool elements to it. And then it just fizzled like a wet fart in the wind. God, it was so bad when it was over. And, oh, geez. And just right off the bat, it's a prequel. It's a prequel. It's like, you're building up way too much for this to have existed before the Nostromo story. So anyway, the moment of now we rule is such an exhilarating moment for the audience. It wasn't. It wasn't. You're too stupid. And then the question is, well, it was an exhilarating moment. It wasn't. When Dustin Hoffman ran out of the church and they got on the bus in The Graduate. Yeah, it's just like that. But what comes after? They probably got married and later divorced because they hated each other, that kind of thing. Anyway, Holly told Empire shortly after the episode aired, the Weyland-Yutani ships are coming, and all they have is problems. So are they still on that island? But according to Arlen A. Thompson, they're no longer shooting in Thailand. So what the hell? They're going to CGI and AI the background and everything. In addition to focusing on the immediate aftermath of the hybrid coup, Holly hopes to be able to move beyond the island. Okay, there you go. And explore more of the corporation-ruled planet. The show is called Alien Earth, after all. Yeah, that's the Earth part. I'm interested in exploring the corporate politics of it. As we've seen, there's an irresistible gravitational pull toward monopoly that corporations and billionaires have. There's a bit of Game of Thrones to the corporate world that feels interesting to me. I do think this story of these children's autonomy continues to be the heart of the show. But Alien is always about levels of containment. The island is a level of containment. And what happens when you expand past that level? You ruin the entire narrative and you're no longer in continuity. So you just got to say this has nothing to do with the original Alien movie. You could do that. Ultimately, the show is called Alien Earth. I know that, given the canon. I can't blow up the Earth. Sure you can. You've already messed up the continuity in a lot of ways. How are you going to do that? Anyway, but I do think that containment is going to be very hard to maintain. Yeah, but they're going to have to, aren't they? And with this amount of knowledge of the xenomorphs and everything, clearly there. How did they screw up so badly? The only other option is that they sent several ships out there to collect this crap with only, one crewman knowing it, or in the case of, Nostromo, an android and all that. And so Nostromo is still coming with its payload, except they don't know it's going to get blown up by Ripley. So, damn it, we want that black goo. So they do that. And I guess that's the deal. But now Boy Cavalier kind of screwed up their plans, So, there is that. But anyway, because it's a story about humanity trapped between nature that's trying to kill us and the technology we've created that also seems to be trying to kill us, that feels a lot like the world that I live in. And so I feel like there's a lot there to really grapple with. Yeah. So there's the behind the scenes look. See? So they just, hey, we don't need to be in Thailand. We can just recreate the set here and shoot a couple of scenes. And then, I don't know, we'll fly them off to, I was going to say LA, but nobody does that anymore. Georgia, I guess. I don't know where they're shooting. So, hey, he could almost be a new doctor. Never mind. When the mysterious deep space research vessel USCSS Maginot, well, that's the premise for the last one. Yeah. Okay. So these people are starring in it, and these are the supporting cast. They'll be in it. And there you go. You're all caught up and ready for Alien Earth season number 2. Can they fix the mistakes they made? Probably not. But yeah, what are you going to do? Well, again, it's too bad because the aesthetics were absolutely amazing. They did a great job on that. And then it all goes to hell. That's too bad. So anyway, there you go, A. Thompson. You got more Alien Earth coming. Just for whatever reason, they're not going to, be there in, Thailand. I'm a bit offended you don't like Event Horizon. Lots of people don't like stuff you don't like. It's the world. what are you going to do? Hey, Thompson, let me guess. You didn't like the spear either? There wasn't a whole lot there. Come on. Now, Rival was fascinating, but Crusaders TV, no, in the Exorcist universe. So it's connected to the original. That's how he's doing it. I mean, they had what's her face playing the mom to come back, but it looked like crap. I just didn't bother with that. And then I don't know. They got to involve druids or something. Anyway, Gross Crusader TV. So it's not a sequel to Linda Blair or Pazuzu. Oh, so it's the new crap. Yeah. So, Hey, Thompson, the most recent Exorcist was two girls. Yeah. I saw the promo for it and I was like, yeah, don't care. Peanut Butter, the Dustin Hoffman masterpiece. He's referring to The Graduate for Alien Earth. Go figure. I don't know. Gross Crusader TV, Scarlett Johansson is in it. Yeah, I know she's in it. She plays like a detective or something. Gross Crusader TV. I don't really like Event Horizon, but I love the makeup effect. Yeah, it's got great effects in it, and the ship is cool and all that sort of stuff. The movie is a giant plot hole, if I remember, but it was fun. Yeah. FKHC 2005. Exorcist 2 is a work of William Shakespeare by today's standards. Well, yeah, I got to give you that. Gross Crusader, Carrie to the Rage. I think it was her daughter somehow. She got pregnant. I don't remember actually. I don't think I saw it. She died. I don't think anyone got with her. She had her first period within days of her death. So okay. Peanut Butter, are you going to hit a buffet or do some takeout, Doug? Orange Chicken Man? Yeah, I'm going to hit the buffet. Going to pile up all that good stuff. Yeah, there's probably orange chicken in there. So, oh yeah. Hey, Thompson, Stealth would wish you a happy birthday if he was here. Well, these things happen. Hey, Thompson, I really went over there and demanded to be an extra on the next season. And that's when they decided to leave. You chase them away. I don't know. I guess it's cost and whatnot. And they'll probably, like I said, probably the first few episodes, they'll still be on the island, but they'll move it to another location. Says, I want to explore the alien Earth world and the corporate world, all that sort of crap. And he'll do that. And so they'll just CGI and volume room AI crap in the background to make it look like they're still on that island. And then they'll escape to, I don't know, some property of Prodigy or Wayland Utani and stuff like that. Terrible Troy, gotta walk the shivers. Have a glorious day with great Chinese food. Thank you, Terrible Troy. Thanks for watching and have a good rest of your day. Hey, Thompson, Alien Earth was the best show I've ever seen. That episode 3 should have been a movie. Well, but it would have just been Alien, So put inside the series, and it showed their ability to recreate the sets and everything. So it looked exactly like Alien and all that. But as a movie, I don't know. The best television series you've ever seen? Hey, Thompson. So, hey, Thompson, they're not shooting in Thailand. They're shooting in the UK is what I was told. So there you go. Soundstage, stuff like that. Or maybe they'll have some shots of, London, but they'll spruce it up with some, CGI, AI, whatever, to make it futuristic London. And then there's, a Wayland Utani and Prodigy office and what have you. Hey, Thompson, the real story is that Itopus. Yeah, Itopus was the coolest thing about it in a lot of ways, besides the aesthetics and everything. But I mean, it's just too much. It's a show that when the bad outweighs the good, it kills it. Hey, Thompson, good luck recreating that set. The ship was 100% accurate to the LEDs under the buttons. Well, I don't think you're going to see the ship again. Now, if what I would think they should do is say there's multiple ships out there that they've dispatched in the hopes that they'll find xenomorphs. And then there you go, So that would be, pretty cool. All right, pretty antisocial. Thank you, Haley. We'll get to you. God, I'm sorry if she probably came and went. Jeez. All right, let me get to my super tip level here on the old EV Mux. Let's see here. There we go. Happy birthday, Doug. Look, it's me with a party hat. Wouldn't that be nice? It's been a while since I've had one of those. Okay. Do I need to blow this one up? I don't know. I guess, yeah, you guys can see it. I hope you have a wonderful birthday, Doug. Thank you, Haley, very much. That's Haley, pretty antisocial. Although she was very nice and pleasant, her and her husband at Hackamania, met them in person. And I didn't find her antisocial at all. But anyway, thanks again. Pretty antisocial. Haley. Well, I guess I should have just said Haley. That would have been the nice way to it. But look, it's the title of her show, so check it out if you haven't already. Her and Pat do these shows too, doing coverage of Dabbleverse and all that razzmatazz, okay, I guess I'm done with so finally, to end on a high note. Now, this is a sequel that I cautiously endorse. It can go wrong in so many ways, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't. It probably will. I mean, consider the era we're in, even now. But, well, hope springs eternal. Yes, it's not a strategy, but I still want to believe, Somehow Dark Helmet has returned. Get it? Spaceballs, the new one. So they have a poster. Here they are combing the desert. Remember? Yeah. So Spaceballs, the new one, is preparing to go ludicrous speed at San Diego Comic-Con. Join the cast and filmmakers as they land in Hall H on Friday, July 24th at 4 p.m. And remember, please keep your Schwartz inside the convention center at all times. Ahead of the movie's San Diego Comic-Con Hall H panel later this month, we have a first look at the teaser poster for Spaceballs, the new one, along with an updated synopsis featuring the first plot details, and some funny digs at the Star Wars franchise. The legendary Mel Brooks, who recently celebrated his 100th birthday, is set to reprise his role as Yoda send-up Yogurt. Bill Pullman and Rick Moranis, coming out of retirement. Coming out of retirement for the sequel, are also back on board as Lone Star and Dark Helmet. Daphne Zuniga will return as Princess Vespa. And Kiki Palmer, one of them days, has joined the cast as Destiny. All right. Now the bad news. Josh Gad is set to star and produce alongside Brooks. Josh Greenbaum will direct the film from a screenplay by Benji Samit, Dan Hernandez, and Gad. So I don't know. I don't know. Is Gad going to play, Barf's puppy? Anyway, the original movie was a full-on farce, following the general plot of Star Wars: A New Hope, while also making fun of other space set or sci-fi properties such as Star Trek, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Planet of the Apes, and Alien. Spaceballs also starred the late John Candy as Barf. Moranis has previously revealed that he pitched a sequel to Brooks back in 2013 with the proposed title Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2. See, that's a better title. Nothing ever came of it, but in 2015, Brooks said that he would be interested in releasing a new movie after the next Star Wars film and hoped that Moranis would reprise his role. The legendary filmmaker said he'd like this version of the movie to be called Spaceballs 2: The Search for More Money, which was the title that was at the end of the original movie. So I guess they should have stuck with that, but for whatever reason, they're not. Spaceballs received mixed reviews upon release. Well, who cares? But it has developed a loyal following over the years. Somehow, Dark Helmet has returned. 40 years after the events of the first Spaceballs, 50 years after the events of Star Wars: A New Hope, and 1 year after the events of Devil Wears Prada 2, the galaxy is once again under threat. A threat so evil, so unstoppable, so completely lacking in any original ideas that it has vowed to bring back the past. Every last bit of it. With Lone Star in hiding, Queen Vespa on the throne, and the Schwartz stretched thinner than a franchise releasing TV episodes theatrically. The only hope for the galaxy is Vespa's undisciplined son, Prince Starburst, and a mysterious palace advisor named Destiny. Together, they must find Lone Star, Yogurt, and any other iconic legacy characters fans are demanding before they discover the hard way that, while some threats you can fight, the reboot is not one of them. So anyway, there you go. That's the teaser for it all. Can they do it? Well, I hope so, but I don't know. I don't. There's an awful lot of reason to think it's not going to do great. But the main reason, is Josh Gad really that funny? I mean, can he? Well, you know the deal. You'll find out when it's done and comes out and all that goody gumdrop stuff. So anyway, that's it for Hollywood crap and all that stuff. Your DC, your Marvel, and your horror movies. Nothing new, you know. The only thing new were the other horror movies that were probably, geez, all this weeds appearing behind me. That's getting, oh, there it goes. It's gone. How'd that happen? I don't know. Anyway, what's the Siren Head and what's the other one? Anyway, they're chasing all these YouTube horror things like Backrooms and hoping for something there. But right now, the talent to look at is Zach Kreger. Of course, he's going to do a reboot of Resident Evil. And don't know what's next for the people behind Obsession. But Obsession was pretty damn good. That was a good movie. But at least, you know, those are new properties. So for new stuff, well, I guess this is as good as it's going to get. So there's that. Anyway, I'm going to take a break. I'm not done quite yet. I'll come back and do another Star Trek Wrath of Khan Kumia Photoshop. And you can sit back and watch me do it. It's perfectly fine. It's just Photoshop. Don't worry. But first, the news.
This is a Nailsin News Bulletin.
Woman sentenced for death of Kim Kardashian lookalike model after giving illegal butt injection. So, kind of looks, I mean, oh, well, anyway, I guess the one thing she was missing was, you know, anyway, an unlicensed cosmetologist has been sentenced to prison after administering injections that led to the death of an OnlyFans model known for her resemblance to Kim Kardashian. Well, what's the point of that? Kim Kardashian was already, you know, on video doing, you know. Anyway, Vivian Alexandra Gomez was sentenced to 4 years in prison in connection with the April 2023 death of 34-year-old Christina Ashton Gorkani, who gained an online following for her resemblance to Kim Kardashian, underwent illegal silicone butt injections from Gomez, who had traveled from Florida to perform the procedure inside a California hotel room. Well, that's your first clue. Usually surgeries, happen at the hospital, and sometimes in a clinic for outpatient surgery, Not in a hotel room, though. I think the victim knew this was, illegal, in the sense that this was not really a professional or licensed or anything like that. And yet, I guess, cheaper than the professional, perhaps. He's, I've gotta have that butt. So it's, wait a minute, is this the real Kim? Unless, there's a photo of Christina Ashland Gorgani. Oh, I'm sorry. So the the lady who did the butt injections kind of has, like she'd be someone who might achieve the Kardashian look, at least, the face and everything. So I thought it was Kim Kardashian. So, well, fooled me anyway at first in the face. And she's done work elsewhere. And then, oh boy. So I guess it wasn't big enough. And well, anyway, the San Mateo County District Attorney's Office announced that Gomez was found guilty of felony involuntary manslaughter and practicing medicine without a license. Gomez flew to the San Francisco International Airport and administered gluteal injections to the victim at a hotel. Well, Gorgani became immediately ill and died of respiratory failure. Holy crap. She had like an allergic reaction or something? I mean, it's silicone into her butt, right? And yet, it messed with her lungs. I don't know. The San Mateo County District Attorney's Office did not immediately respond to People Magazine's request for comment. Well, why not? I guess they didn't want to talk about it. San Mateo County District Attorney Steve Wagstaff previously said Gorgani died on April 20th from cardiac arrest, while prosecutors reportedly said silicone was found in her bloodstream. Okay, so the respiratory failure, I guess it could have, so, well, you do stop breathing with cardiac arrest, but it seems like, I don't know what the confusion's about, but still the silicone got in her bloodstream. So I wonder what the deal is. What's the trick? I guess, a real plastic surgeon would understand. So you can't put the needle there. You have to put it over here. Is it something as simple as that, to where the silicone doesn't just go everywhere? It went in and, I don't know, clogged up her lungs, I guess. Well, anyway, in May 2023, Dr. Michael K. Obing, a board-certified plastic surgeon and a member of People's Health Squad, told People most of these illegal injections are made with silicone. And silicone, or any foreign substance, can migrate within the body, which can lead to infection and hardness over time, deforming parts of the body. Okay, so what do you inject in butts? The right way, I don't know. And as with any injection, it can go into your bloodstream. And if it gets in the bloodstream, it can block the blood vessels and cause necrosis or dead tissue. So that's a huge danger. Yeah, I imagine it is. Gomez reportedly left California immediately after the illegal surgery and returned to Florida. The outlet said after she arrived, she was arrested on a warrant issued in San Mateo County and transferred back. She thought she could get away in Florida. Huh? No, there's extradition between the two. She's a very nice person, Gomez's attorney said of his client. She was willing to accept responsibility for involuntary manslaughter a long time ago. Yeah, but why did she fly to Florida? Jeez. What a mess. So, it's the old thing, you get what you pay for and all that. That is odd. She does. I could have, I thought, yeah, there's some it's strange. But anyway, there you go. The quest for a bigger butt. And, well, it ended this way. It's all very sad. And, well, apparently the district attorney doesn't want to talk about this anymore. I have nothing else to say. Nothing but, oh, damn it, you got me again. That kind of thing. But, so yeah, because do they still put silicone in for breast implants and stuff? I remember, yeah, there was problems and stuff like that. So what, they do the saline thing? So I guess if you put saline, but those were like implants, like bags and stuff you had to surgically implant. Here, that's the deal. You can't just shoot the stuff straight into the ass like that. I guess they really got to insert these, I don't know, sculpted bags or something. Yeah, look, it's, the trunk's just not worth it. It just isn't.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin.
Doug, fun fact. Thongs never ride up because they're already up there.
Holy crap. I screwed up again. Holy crap. I apologize. I am sleep deprived. That's my excuse. But you saw the work. You saw. Damn it. God, I had these funny jokes and stuff too. It's a damn shame. You know? Anyway, thanks for letting me know the one pun. But again, I'm sleep deprived. When am I not? But essentially, there we go. I had to basically recreate the suit here. Well, not recreate it, but where's the one I had? So you saw what I did. I took all the background out. I flipped it over, and I had to change the color scheme of it because this is closer to what the look of the suit that Chekhov wore in the movie. But the only one I had in the right position for the helmet that I needed for this scene was the red one that the Captain Tyrell character wore. So I just used it and changed the color scheme to make it fit more or less. And then, of course, there's Khan in the background, looking smug and all that. And, of course, the creature came from this, cut it out, changed the color scheme a bit, stuck it going into Anthony's ear. It's a much bigger than it was in the film, but, you get the point and the idea. And so there's Anthony. Nah, I don't want it in there. Khan's like, that's better. That's better. Yes. Now, tell me, where's Admiral Kirk? So there you go. Now you're all caught up. I think we all learned a valuable lesson. Always make sure you're not muted. Will I ever learn? No. I'll probably do it again tonight. Damn it. You know what's going to happen. It's horrible. Almost ruined my birthday. Almost. But now I got to try to stay awake so I want that damn Chinese meal. A succulent Chinese meal. God, I'm liable to get arrested because I'll be so out of it and sleep deprived and stupid. What if I get arrested? Well, if I do, I definitely got to do that business of, succulent Chinese meal. Don't you touch my penis. That kind of thing. I mean, it's at least that opportunity. But anyway, there we go. There's a image I'll send over to Sean Goggins, and perhaps it'll show up in the end credits of the Anthony Cumia show. Anthony Cumia. See, it's almost like Admiral Kirk. It doesn't make any sense, though. Not really. Just remember to check to chat check. Yeah, that's true. That's also. See, if I'd have just done that, there I'd be. But alas, I did not. Yeah. Oh, well. Anyway, there we go. Reviews of news about Marvel and DC. Then all those horror movie, mostly. Well, they were all prequels, weren't they? They're all prequels. See, and horror was the one genre that pretty much survived the woke era. They didn't really screw up too badly, and they're doing pretty good because they're rather cheap to make. And yet now they want to, hey, we can do prequels too. Oh, well, maybe it'll all work out. Hopefully that'll be the case. Oh yeah. First, let me do some business with, no, get over there, stupid. Where is it? No, it's over here. The Doodleverse comic over here. Let me put that in let me get the address for the Shah, and we'll put it in the chat. There's the link, and this comic can be yours. It's 40 pages of cartoons about your favorite Dabbleverse characters. Look at that. Isn't that nice? this could be in your hands. So, you'll have stuff like this in it. There's Stuttering John. There's Aaron. There's Chad Zumach. Boy, he's all the rage right now, isn't he? He's got a special coming up and stuff. And then there's Karmic as a doctor. I did crazy things like that. There's an alien parody with Dabbleverse characters, all that good stuff. And more Chad here, him and his girlfriend having a spat. And then the Doodleverse, but yeah, the actual doodles from work of people who showed up while I was at work. And so there's that, there's quite a gallery of that, several pages of it. So there you go. And all you got to do is follow that link, order your copy for the really great price of $10.99, and you'll have your 40-page Doodleverse number 2 comic book in your hands. Yeah, that's right. In the meantime, there's also the Mr. Nailsin Store. Gee, Doug, what's that? Well, let me show you. Here it is. Oh, look, here's a Chad shirt. So you get this image here. Not good. And you got your Chad Zumach shirt. Here's a Conric shirt. Whatever color, they have a selection of colors in there. You can pick that. And they'll send you that one. You got Baby Karn on there. There's Kevin with his obsessions. Pat Dixon, Anthony Cumia, Melton, floating around his head. I just can't with these clowns. He can't. More Karmic there, pretty good pose there. Back when he had his, new fresh haircut, and stuff like that. Then there's all this other stuff, night, coffee cup with an eyeball on it, all kinds of stuff. Your Mr. Nailsin Show hat. Oh, boy, you get all of that. Oh, yeah, here's one that Haley from Pretty Antisocial suggested. And I did this image of a potential logo for the show, and it's got Pat and her on it. And you can get that antisocial as fuck, or AF for those little timid. And there you go. And look at, it's bursting with stars and stuff. And a little cartoon image of Haley and Pat Dixon. And yes, he's smoking a cigarette, of course. And that's better. And that's what you get on the shirt. Yeah. So all you got to do is follow the link to that one. Yeah, that's right. I probably should have done this already. Oh, good Lord. Is there no end to the embarrassment? No, there isn't. Not really. So anyway, there you go. Get it in there, stupid. Yeah. All right. There it is. And oh boy, you're going to have all this great stuff over at the Mr. Nail. Oh, I forgot. I'm not showing the damn it. Probably should have checked the chat on that one too. So there's the image of the anti-socialist shirt. And oh boy, you've got Haley and Pat on there, all that sort of stuff. And it's waiting for you, the people. Won't they be great? I think so. All right. Well, I guess that'll do it. And thanks for watching. Also, thanks for the super chat. My first super chat now that I'm freshly monetized. And then the super tips, of course. All very nice. And for the birthday wishes and all that cool stuff. That was great. Oh, the one pun says, happy birthday, Doug. Well, thank you, the one pun. Thank you very much. So there we are. That'll conclude the Doug Nailsin Show for this moment in time. Hopefully there will be other moments in time where I will also do a Doug Nailsin Show. I'm thinking I'll draw stuff. It's probably what it'll be. That'll be something. You can't say it's not. It is something. It's drawing stuff. That's what it is. All right. Have a good rest of your day. And we'll visit again, hopefully soon, if not before. But probably keep it at soon. Yeah. I'm hoping I can get some sleep in at some point. And you know what? People say, what do you want for your birthday? I got to say sleep. It's my favorite thing to do when it actually happens. But it is. Increasingly, it's my favorite thing to do. He was, isn't that kind of sad? I don't care. It's what I like to do. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll visit again soon.
Hollywood could really wish they would. There's no debating. All that's left is the Nailsin reign. The first feast from the corpse of the beast. Only after the feel of the vulture. Pop goes the culture. Pop, 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 pop goes the culture. Myths and legends, grants an escape to heaven. A darker, taller tale gives a tour of hell. Pop goes the culture. Pop goes the culture. Pop, 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 pop goes the culture.
Let's blast them!
Affirmative. Firing.
Direct hit, keep firing!